with about 40,000 members, where we have those discussions around these things. And we do have stuff that emerges from there that are topics that I don't think would have been investigated otherwise. So one was an oil spill off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago that our community came together and they just started looking for things like marine traffic websites, satellite imagery to figure out which boat was responsible for it. And they figured that out, and that led to not only publication on the Bellingcat website, but more reporting both through Bellingcat and locally. We were able to identify the vessel involved, track it back to its port of origin, and then where it was being hidden at the moment. And we had the UN Marine Insurance Agency come in and ask us for information on it because they didn't have that information. And that all came from that community. And I want more opportunities for that to happen in different communities.
The reason local media has died is because local newspapers are not as convenient as Facebook.
Yeah.
And a lot which is precious has been lost. Local court reporting, a sense of community, accountability of local councils who spend huge amounts of money. I mean, in real practical terms, isn't it the case that if you want a thriving local media, people have to pay for it?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the proposals was for there to be a tax on social media companies to help support local public interest media. Whether or not they'll actually do that, I think might be more down to how angry Donald Trump
That's
gets
one of those
about
ideas I heard about 8 years ago. If you were to work out how open source investigations could actually help with local media, you would need local media to have a functioning business model, perhaps through Substack, it could be through podcasts, it could be through corporate partnerships, whatever, some sort of income, revenue stream, ideally from a paying audience. And then open source investigation would allow them to just do really good stuff, for instance, on local councils, and you want to partner with them on that.
Yeah, and I think as well it would allow, for me, it's like looking at universities, is how do we stop them becoming just diploma factories and turn them into something that actually serves a public good? And I think this is an opportunity to do that and also equip students with really useful skills and connections that they can carry forward with them, but also understand what it means to be part of a local community. That is something I think we've really lost because these spaces have gone away, that we've become more individuals who are online, finding people who agree with us on the internet no matter where they're from, and that becomes our community. Now we're doing work with universities. That's been really, really satisfying because actually seeing people working together in those spaces, creating a hub for people from a range of different disciplines, you know, from kind of more kind of conflict-focused stuff all the way through kind of art and design, bringing those together to think about these problems in new ways, for me, is really exciting to see.
Thank you for listening to The Interview from the BBC World Service. You'll find more in-depth conversations on The Interview wherever you get your BBC podcasts, including episodes with US President Donald Trump, Belarusian opposition activist Sergei Tikhanovsky, and the Irish historian Catherine Corliss. Until the next time, bye for now.
From the BBC, that was...
Good morning, Manitoba, and hello, Winnipeg. I'm Marcy Marcusa. This is Information Radio, and we are live in our studios here at CBC. 89.3 FM, 990 AM on that app, and YouTube is where you're listening. And the sky is positively pink and purple this morning, just beautiful, after a lot of rain. Also, we have a lot of rain still for the north expected today. Thanks for being with us. The show is on until 8:37, and it's Information Radio, as mentioned. If you need us on the morning commute, 788-3093. Louise Bridge reopens today. Corey's going to be out there a little bit later. Let's say good morning to the team. Speaking of Corey, Corey Funk directs the show. Duties as required out in the community. Also, Corey will be on the air covering our traffic today. I'm going to cover weather. In addition, May McKillop is here behind the controls, our technician this morning on the show. Hi, May. Good morning to Ezeka this morning. Ezeka Abdelatif is our producer and our switcher on our YouTube stream. So if you're watching there, be sure to say hello. Matt Humphrey is joining us in studio. If you're watching, you saw that he came in and sat down. He's here with headlines at 2 minutes to 6. Hi, Matt.
Good morning. At the top of the news, the fourth floor of the Millennium Library in downtown Winnipeg has been temporarily closed to visitors as the city examines potential safety upgrades. A city councillor tells CBC News the floor could reopen by next week. We'll hear more about why it's closed at the bottom of the hour. And as Marcy touched on, good news for commuters this morning. The Louise Bridge is open once again, closed for nearly 3 months. Initially, the city thought it would only be closed for a few days for scheduled maintenance. Now, the long-term future of the bridge remains a matter of debate amid a by-election campaign in the Elmwood East Kildonan ward. So we'll hear more from a few candidates in that by-election. and their thoughts on the bridge.
Excellent.
In terms of a replacement.
So that bridge obviously spans a couple of wards. The other ward that's interested is Ross Eady's ward, and he's going to be actually out with Corey Funk.
That's what he was saying.
So we'll be covered. All
Very
right, thanks.
good.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, back soon.
In the actual weather forecast today, I should mention that Winnipeg will be sunny and our high today will be 21 degrees. And in Thompson, as I mentioned, 10 to 20 millimeters more of rain still coming and a high just of 13. In the program today, we start with something lovely, St. John's Park. They're marking their 25th annual picnic in the park tomorrow. They're expecting thousands of people. We'll find out more about that from the community vantage point. And we're about to hear on World Report why now the word famine is being used in Gaza.
Today on Q.
I'm Jill Deacon, sitting in for Tom Power. For decades, John Fogerty didn't own the rights to the songs that he wrote for the legendary rock band Creedence Clearwater Revival, until now. He'll be here to talk about what this moment means to him and look back on writing some of his biggest hits.
Q, this morning at 10:30 in Newfoundland, and on the CBC Listen app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is World Report. Good morning, I'm John Northcott. The United Nations aid chief says there is officially famine in Gaza.
Be in no doubt that this is irrefutable testimony. It is a famine. The Gaza famine.
Tom Fletcher says this hunger crisis was preventable. His agency, the IPC, blames systemic obstruction from Israel for the starvation. It's being called for, and it is calling for unimpeded humanitarian access to the region.
My ask, my plea, my demand to Prime Minister Netanyahu and anyone who can reach him. Enough. Ceasefire. Open the crossings, north and south, all of them. Let us get food and other supplies in.
Just a clarification there, the term used by the agency is systematic obstruction. The IPC report says nearly a quarter of Palestinians in Gaza, more than 500,000 people, are experiencing extreme hunger. Israel's foreign ministry has responded to the report, saying there is no famine in Gaza. The Trump administration is stepping up its campaign to deport people who are in the U.S. illegally. It began with migrants and some international students accused of anti-Semitism. Now officials are examining the records of 55 million people holding U.S. visas, looking for anything that could get them disqualified or deported. CBC's Lisa Shing is in Washington. Lisa, how wide is this investigation?
Well, John, this is a major expansion of the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. It's now reviewing all 55 million visa holders, so it's sweeping. The so-called continuous vetting by the State Department will allow it to revoke visas, deport people if they find evidence of anything from overstays to criminal activity. And initially, Trump was focused on illegal migration. This has expanded to include reviews of legal migration, too. Earlier this week, the administration revoked more than 6,000 student visas. It's also put a pause on issuing visas to commercial truck drivers after a fatal crash in Florida. So this latest announcement means it's not just people who work and study here who could be affected, but some tourists too.
Lisa, this comes as a judge has ordered that no more immigrant detainees be sent to the so-called Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center. Tell us more about that.
So after environmental groups and tribes in the area filed a lawsuit, a federal judge issued an injunction late last night directing this controversial immigration detention camp in the Florida Everglades to stop taking any more detainees. It's also ordered the removal of infrastructure added to the site within 60 days, and that's significant. That includes lighting, fencing, generators. So while it isn't an outright closure, it's not really clear how the facility will continue to operate without these resources. So the groups that sued calling it a major victory, while the state of Florida has already appealed.
CBC's Lisa Shing in Washington. Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
California voters will decide in November whether to approve a new electoral map. Lawmakers have approved Governor Gavin Newsom's plan to redraw lines for congressional districts. He says he's trying to counterbalance redistricting in Texas carried out at the urging of U.S. President Donald Trump.
He's trying to rig the election. He's trying to set up the conditions where he can claim that the elections were not won fair and square. Open your eyes to what is going on in the United States of America in 2025. That's what this is about.
The new California map is intended to give Democrats 5 more seats in the U.S. Congress. Texas passed legislation earlier this week to redraw its map in a way that would give Republicans 5 more seats. The owners of a BC ostrich farm say they will not give up their fight to save the birds. Last December, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency ordered the farm to cull all its ostriches after 2 of them tested positive for avian flu. And yesterday, the courts upheld that order. Yasmin Renea has more.
It's devastating. We've made it this far.
After months of legal battles, the Federal Court of Appeal has ruled that a cull of about 400 ostriches belonging to Katie Pasitny and her parents can go ahead. Last year, 2 of the birds tested positive for avian flu on the farm in a remote part of the BC interior, prompting the CFIA cull order. Dozens of ostriches died after the outbreak, but hundreds survived. The farmers believe the herd is now immune to the disease and should not be killed.
We have a recovered flock here that we are shielding from the world of our research.
The case has become an international flashpoint in the management of avian flu, attracting the attention of prominent members of the Trump administration, including U.S. Secretary of Health Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as well as U.S. billionaire John Catsimatidis, both urging the Canadian government to save the birds.
They're tonic animals. They deserve to live if they have antibodies.
The CFIA says it implements disease control measures necessary to protect public health and minimize the economic impact on Canada's poultry industry. The farm owners say their fight is not over. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Air Canada says it expects to be operating close to its full network schedule by later today. Flight attendants walked off the job on Saturday. Their strike ended Tuesday, and Air Canada said it would take up to 10 days for full service to resume. But the airline now says it's restoring operations ahead of its planned timeline. Victims' rights groups say they are disappointed the Crown will not appeal the acquittals of 5 former World Junior hockey players. But legal experts say they're not surprised. Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, Alex Formanton, and Cal Foote were each charged with sexual assault. In July, a judge found them not guilty. Karen Pauls has reaction.
We expected the not guilty verdicts to come from this deeply flawed legal system. What we did not expect was to see rape myths, victim blaming and shaming.
The Crown's decision not to appeal wasn't unexpected, but Jesse Rogers says it's still disappointing. They're with Inova, one of Ontario's largest women's shelters.
The decision not to appeal reinforces the same silence and dismissal survivors have faced for generations.
The complainant, known as EM, testified she had consensual sex with Michael McLeod, but after he invited his teammates to his hotel room, she claimed she was forced to perform sex acts without her consent. In her not guilty rulings, Justice Maria Caracia said she did not find EM's testimony credible or reliable.
Justice Caracia appeal-proofed her judgment when she based it entirely on her assessment of the credibility of the complainant.
Daphne Gilbert is a University of Ottawa law professor.
A court of appeal cannot disturb credibility findings unless they are patently biased or unfair. So once she said she disbelieved the complainant, it was game over.
Still, Gilbert says the case will leave a profound legacy.
There are calls for alternative processes like restorative justice, but people want reform of the criminal justice system itself. Ultimately, EM will be seen as a catalyst for change.
The players remain suspended from all Hockey Canada sanctioned events. They are also currently not eligible to play in the NHL. Both decisions are under review. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And finally, thousands of visitors are in St. John's for the Canada Games. Many will be looking to become honorary Newfoundlanders. And for that, they'll have to pucker up. The Screech End ceremony is celebrating 50 years, but as Peter Cowan tells us, some locals are kind of over the tradition.
Let's bring the Royal Order of Screeches to order.
At Christian's Pub in St. John's, dozens of tourists are packed in to become honorary Newfoundlanders. They're learning Newfoundland sayings, trying some local bologna, a shot of rum, and then there's the grossest part.
I need you all to pucker up and give this fish just a little kiss. Do not worry.
More than 100 tourists a day shell out $40 each to get screeched in. At this bar alone, they come away with a certificate affirming they're an honorary Newfoundlander. Brian Day owns the bar and delivers the ceremony dressed as Skipper Lukey.
I want to blow their mind.
I want people to say that that was the best cultural experience that I've ever had in my entire life.
The Screech-In ceremony was first done 50 years ago by a bar in St. John's to bring in business on slow nights, and it's grown in popularity.
Today, I will be screeched in.
Helped by the likes of late celebrity chef Anthony Bourdain, who featured it on his traveling food show.
We'll rant and we'll roar like true Newfoundlanders.
But not all Newfoundlanders love the tradition. Sean McCann toured the world representing Newfoundland and the band Great Big Sea. He's been asked to perform the ceremony hundreds of times, but refuses.
You know, we don't need to rely on something that turns our culture into a cartoon. I saw it as, a gimmick to sell cheap booze to tourists, and that's all it ever has been to me.
But back at Christian's bar, Day says his ceremony is about giving visitors a sense of belonging. And as long as they keep coming, he'll have a fish behind the bar waiting to be kissed. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
I hear the fish work for scale. That is the latest national and international news from World Report. I'm John Northcott. This is CBC News.
Good morning, Manitoba, and hello, Winnipeg. I'm Marcy Marcusa, and this is Information Radio live from downtown Winnipeg. You're on 89.3 FM. This hour on the show, we're going to be talking about how you speak to each other. Body language, eye contact, and keeping an open mind. We're going to get advice on having productive and civil conversations with people in our lives, even the ones that you don't agree with. A lot of people are out of practice in speaking to people who have all kinds of perspectives. So stay tuned. Our civility expert's going to be on. He's been doing a special column this summer. Also, the drop shots, volleying, and a whole lot of camaraderie. We're going to stop by the National Pickleball Championships as they're ongoing in Winnipeg. And then to serious matters in the shadow of the latest Israeli military push into Gaza City. There is a ceasefire proposal still sitting on the table, and of course the developments with the use of the term famine in a report today. We will walk you through all of that just before 7 o'clock. Right now, it is time to check in with other local news headlines with Matt Humphrey. Hi, Matt.
Good morning. The fourth floor of the Millennium Library is closed, and the city says it's examining safety upgrades for the downtown Winnipeg staple. The chair of the Community Services Committee says this comes after an incident on that floor this past Wednesday. And earlier this month, a man died at that library. We'll hear the latest at the bottom of the hour. And also, the father of a man who died while evacuated from his Northern First Nation due to wildfires says attempts to repatriate his son's remains were delayed by red tape. He ended up having less than 3 hours to bury his son, robbing the grieving father of his sense of closure. We'll hear more at 6:30.
All right, thanks very much,
Back
Matt.
soon.
In the traffic situation this morning, I just want to mention, of course, as we've been telling you, Louise Bridge will reopen. So that's exciting. Corey's going to be out there a little bit later with Councillor Ross Eady to talk about the importance of that, but also about where we go moving forward, because it was supposed to open and then they did repairs. Then they announced they needed deeper repairs. So we'll find out all about that. Corey is in, though, to tell us if there's anything else urgent in traffic and then to run through what's happening in the weather. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, that really is the main traffic thing going on right now is the Louise Bridge. So I'll be heading out there around 7 or so. So I'll give folks an update on just how busy it is there this morning. As for the weather out there, so right now at the Forks, we're actually sitting at 10, which just feels like a little bit cold, but we are heading towards fall. We are going to be warming up today to about 21, a sunny mix of sun and cloud late this afternoon with about 30% chance or so of showers, and a bit gusty as well. Wind becoming west 40, gusting to 60 this morning. But not quite as muggy as other days. So should be kind of your more like classic room temperature kind of summer day out there. There's also that rainfall warning still in effect for the Thompson area and northern Manitoba. So that could mean 50 to 70 millimeters of rain if you haven't already got it, a bunch of that already starting yesterday. So do look out for that. We're actually be checking in with some northern Manitoba communities later on today on the show after 7 around Snow Lake and Pimachikamak to see how all this rain lately has been impacting those communities as well. But right now in Winnipeg at the Forks, we're sitting at 10.
All right. Thanks, Corey
Thank
Funk.
you.
6:13 is the time right now on 89.3 FM. just mentioning the forecast, and a lot of people are interested in tomorrow's forecast because in Winnipeg tomorrow, by the way, mix of sun and cloud, high 18, a little bit windy, but pretty decent day. It will be a pretty decent day for something special happening in Winnipeg at St. John's Park. They're marking their 25th anniversary of their picnic in the park tomorrow. So it's more than a picnic, as you can well imagine. Thousands of people end up showing up at this in 2025 and in previous years as well, and expected this year too. And that is because it's become a real community event. We will talk to someone who is helping organize it in that part of Winnipeg's North End this morning in a moment. But first, why don't we start the show easing in with some music you can look forward to if you're going to the picnic tomorrow. Don Amaro is playing. Here's one of his newer ones. This is called Break the Glass.
No one ever seemed to listen to the ground beneath their feet, to the voices in the oceans, to the whispers in the trees. Now the water's rising, it's getting hard to breathe. Say it's not my problem, till it's breaking over me. Time's up, break the glass. I hear the wall of the dam just cracked. Put your heart in the burlap sack. You better be ready, ready when the flood comes back. Walls are not the answer when the bottom's caving in. This tide won't stop coming. It's gonna be sink or swim. Ooh, waist deep in the water, there ain't no higher ground. Ooh, Lord, if we're still worth it, have mercy on us now. Time's up, break the glass. I hear the wall of the dam just crack. Put your heart in the burlap sack. You better be ready, ready when the flood comes. Time's up, break the glass. I hear the wall of the dam just crack. It's a little too late to get your life on track. You better be ready, ready when the flood comes back. The wall of the dam just cracked. Put your heart in the burlap sack. You better be ready. Time's up, break the glass. I hear the wall of the dam just cracked. It's a little too late to get your life on track. You better be ready, ready when the flood comes. Time's up, break the glass. I hear the wall of the dam just cracked. Put your heart in the burlap sack.
Don Amaro going to be performing tomorrow afternoon in St. John's Park. It's their 25th year for having their picnic in the community. And I misspoke there. Don Amaro, this is a music that was written in 2017, but he's brought it back time and time again because that tune was in response to political, economic, and climate anxiety at the time. And so he's been sharing that as a rallying cry for a brighter future, which is obviously still relevant today. Well, I'll tell you what, this community gathering sure is bright, and it's been going on for so many years. We thought we'd talk to Sharon Newman about it, Community Development Manager with the North End Community Renewal Corporation. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. So is it right that you guys are expecting about 2,000 people tomorrow at the St. John's Picnic in the Park?
Yeah, that's right. We've been building the festival over the 25 years, and now that's become kind of like a normal number for us.
What else is happening in the park tomorrow besides music for those that haven't been before?
Well, it's a very special year. So we have a huge children's area. So we have bouncy castles and face painting. We have graffiti gallery coming out and doing kite making. WASAC, which is an Aboriginal sports organization, coming out and doing crafts. We have magicians, and we have a free picnic lunch as well for everybody who comes by. We also have resource tables. So North End Community Resources are going to be there handing out information, chatting with people, and just kind of letting everybody know all of these potential resources that are active and alive in the North End.
I should mention, your group, North End Community Renewal Corporation, is one of the groups behind the party, but also Sekiwe Festival, an Indigenous music and cultural organization, of course, also involved, and thus also some of the artists coming tomorrow who are going to be performing. Why do you see this space as important in our corner of Winnipeg, St. John's Park?
St. John's Park is this beautiful park. Now, I've only been working at NERC for, that's the acronym, for 4 months. And so this is actually my first time going into St. John's Park, and it's a stunning park. It's a little piece of wonderful nature that's beautifully manicured and right on the river, between the river and Main, for people who don't know it. It's got a medicine garden. It's got a space for ceremony. And it's a wonderful gathering spot for people, and really just shows this tremendous amount of care right in this spot, a place that's safe and secure for families to gather and community to gather.
What do you hope that people going to the picnic might take away from the event in the bigger picture? Obviously, there's celebration there, but you also mentioned resources and such. Why is it important to sort of have those things come together for folks?
I think that there's economic struggle in parts of the North End for sure. And so having a recognition of how many supports really exist, these really strong, wonderful organizations that are there to help people. And these organizations are mostly run by North Enders, the most wonderful, resilient people in around. And I think that's a really important aspect of it. It really is focused on creating a safe community space for people to gather, celebrate the North End, find out more resources, and also really show and celebrate the North End, really show it to the city as well, and show how much there is here and how much creativity and community there really is here.
I love that. You're not going to hear an argument from me. I know that park really well. I have family that still lives right there by Redwood, and my aunt lived in Holy Family Home, I've mentioned on the air before, and so did my grandfather. And so, I wheeled people, literally my aunt, I would wheel her in St. John's Park down to the river, and we would look. And she and my mom grew up by the river in the North End, and my mom would always talk about the meaning of the community and being by the water, and that park holds such a special place in our city. It's going to be lovely to see it full of people tomorrow as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's fabulous. It is such a gorgeous space.
Enjoy it. Shira, thank you very much for being up early with us and telling us a bit about your celebrations and the special 25th anniversary of your picnic.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, have fun. Enjoy it. Shira Newman with us live. She is the Community Development Manager with the North End Community Renewal Corporation. So their 25th annual picnic in the park tomorrow happens from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Weather looks decent for this. And they're going to have dance troupes. They're going to have Don Amaro, as mentioned, performing. He's on at 4. Morgan Grace is also going to be taking to the stage at 3 o'clock because Sekiwe Music Festival is part of putting this all together. So they are expecting, as mentioned, thousands of people.
Personally, from CBC Podcasts, allows you to get lost in someone else's life. From a mysterious childhood spent on the run to a courageous escape from domestic violence, each season of Personally invites you to explore the human experience in all its complexity, one story or season at a time. This is what it sounds like to be human. Find Personally on the CBC Listen app and everywhere you get your podcasts.
It is clear in Winnipeg, 10 degrees, mostly cloudy in Brandon, and 9. Thompson still with that rainfall warning in effect. It continues for the area, and it is 10 degrees right now. And winds are calm, but you're expecting those showers to be part of your day today. Well, next on the show, as summer draws to a close, soon you will be reconnecting with someone that, or maybe more than one person, but with people that you haven't seen in a while. And whether that means coworkers who've been on holidays or maybe other parents at your school drop-off. This morning, our final installment of our summer series, Thinking Out Loud Together. Author and Professor Randy Boyagoda is here live on Zoom with some ideas about how to have positive interactions with people and keep the conversations flowing, even if you don't see eye to eye. Hi there, Randy.
Hey, Marcy, how are you?
I'm well. So what can be challenging about meeting up with people that you haven't seen in a while? And I'm guessing, in the summer we surround ourselves with who we're choosing, and you get into the rhythms and you're surrounded by, everybody. Is that part of this?
Well, I think so. And I also think it's very normal at the end of a summer when you're returning to the office, when you're returning to school, to a community event that's recurring, to make small talk, to catch up, about what you did over the summer, where you went. But, beyond that, you've got an opportunity, I think, to have a conversation that might matter a little more about that. There's a lot going on in the world these days. There's a lot going on across our country. And instead of just saying, hey, isn't everyone so busy, and moving on from that, at the far end of this summer of chatting about civil discourse, I just thought it might make sense in this final column to suggest some practical ways of having a conversation that might matter a little more as we all return to school and the workplace this summer, this fall.
So what is the suggestions there if we're looking for more meaning? And how quickly do you do that? Hey, nice to see you. Have a good summer. What are your thoughts politically on what's happening in the States? I'm guessing that's not. I'm guessing that's not your icebreaker.
No, but there's something in between. Maybe someone went on a trip to the United States. What was that like? We hear so much about it these days up here. What did you notice? Oh, you had relatives visit you from the U.S. What was that like? What are they telling you? What you're noticing there are two things. Curiosity. In other words, that's a really important feature, I think, of a good conversation. That you're not, worried about what the other person thinks. You're not just waiting for them to stop talking so you can start talking, but you genuinely want to understand what they think and why they're thinking it. And then the second thing I would suggest would be something like self-awareness. In other words, to be aware of the ways in which you bring a certain energy to bear upon a conversation, your own body language, your tone, and the way that can, kind of have an effect on how the other person is responding. So I think curiosity and self-awareness are important features for a good conversation.
What do you do with the passion, though? With the passion, with the fear, with the seriousness of the world today? Because while it's you're talking about, I thought of it because you're talking about bringing the energy to the conversation. But there might be someone saying, these are serious times. And, I am watching, maybe they're watching what's happening in Gaza. They're hearing this morning the use of the word famine, for example. That's like in their bones and to their core, upsetting them. Maybe they have had American relatives up and maybe it's complicated for them, whatever their views might be on either, about any of it. How difficult is it to feel like you're not bringing your full self if you have deep conviction and passion about something and you want to share that, but you're watching other people maybe back away from you?
Yeah, it's a really good reflection. And I think in a situation like that, being self-aware about the way that your people might be responding to you, and maybe just taking a moment and deciding, do I really need to figure this out, how we're both feeling about the situation in Gaza or the situation in the United States? Do we need to figure this out in the next 7 minutes? Or do we have a recurring chance? We're going to see each other again and again in the office, at school drop-off, at a community center over the next few weeks, months, maybe even the whole school year. How can we build trust together to take a little bit of the tension out of the moment and play the longer game and start a conversation instead of wanting to kind of finish a conversation in one moment. That seems to me, Marcy, like maybe one way to deal with, as you say, the intensity that could happen in a moment.
I also think it's because people feel like there's some people that feel like they're faking it. So back in the day, people used to say, I'm going way back in the day, people, agree to disagree used to be the framing, right? And now people are like, no, I don't want to agree to disagree. I actually want to be real about what I think here.
Yes.
But then there's others that say, they just want to go to soccer and talk with the parents and they don't want to talk politics. They actually just, nice guy, he, takes care, coaches the soccer team or,
that's enough.
That kind of thing, that's enough. Do you have to sort of know what your goal is going in depending on who the person is and what you're willing to accept in terms of, because I feel like people now are probing each other and calling each other to account at every level of acquaintance.
Yeah. That's you should be doing this column. That's a really good way to put it in many ways.
Hardly. I'm asking for you to either validate or negate what I'm saying.
You're right. You have to assess the relationship. Like, what are you going to get out of this? Is it realistic in this moment or with this particular person to achieve that? And the question is, how do we understand authenticity? I think the key here isn't to bring everything that's going on inside you out. Instead, it's how do you be sincere in the moment? How do you demonstrate that you really are committed to this person in the moment and to the ideas and the conversation? And I think no matter how strongly you might feel about the situation in Gaza or the U.S.'s new tariff model for interacting with the world.
There are lots of examples all over the world.
You're open to the idea that you don't have the full story, you don't have the complete view of it, that there's something else that you can learn about. You can learn from someone else. As long as you create that little bit of space and someone does the same thing, I think that's where you can think out loud together. I think that's the goal here.
Thanks for the summer series, Randy. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great chatting with you, Marcy. Take care.
You take care. Randy Boyagoda, writer and professor of English at the University of Toronto. He's also the school's advisor on civil discourse. And one final note that Randy wanted us to pass along, leave your phone in your pocket and look the person in the eye if you're reconnecting, whoever they are and whoever you are. All right, let's get to our CBC Winnipeg News.
This is CBC News. At 6:30, we're at 10 degrees with mostly clear skies over downtown Winnipeg. We only have a slight chance of showers today. Good morning. I'm Matt Humphrey. The Louise Bridge reopens today, nearly 3 months after it closed. The city closed the bridge on May 23rd for what was supposed to be a few days of scheduled maintenance. The 114-year-old structure is slated for rehabilitation work to extend its life for decades. Braden Muskariewicz is a candidate in the Elmwood East Kildonan by-election. He says the city should just build a new bridge.
It sounds to me like the mayor's office is just trying to kick the can down the road another 20 years. When the bridge needs to be replaced.
The rehabilitation work is estimated to cost around $40 million compared to the nearly $180 million for a new bridge. The fourth floor of the Millennium Library in downtown Winnipeg is closed to visitors while the city examines potential safety upgrades. Point Douglas City Councillor Vivian Santos tells CBC the move comes after an incident on Wednesday and after a 40-year-old died by suicide on August 6th. But Santos believes security staff intervened on the Wednesday incident and there were no injuries. She says a person tried to go over a railing on the fourth floor, but it's not clear why.
As of right now, we did get confirmation from the CAO that he is working with the manager as well as HR on the closure. Right now, it's temporarily closed, the fourth floor, to the public. And they're working on figuring out what safety measures they can do.
Santos expects the floor to reopen next week. The city says staff are able to help visitors looking for materials or services on the fourth floor. A Manitoba father whose son died while they were evacuated says he had to fight to bring his body back home. Andrew Colombe's son, Featherstone, passed in early August at the age of 35. Wildfires forced them out of their homes in Marcel Colombe First Nation. The community was still under an evacuation, so conservation officials had to authorize the burial, but it took days to get approval. Then his family had to borrow a plane they could use for only about 3 hours, leaving little time to dig the grave and to mourn.
It hurts when things are not, when things are not done properly. It's more like a half-past job, and it sucks.
At least 2 other Manitobans have died while evacuated this summer. The province says it's been working with communities on a case-by-case basis. In case you missed it, Premier Wab Kinew says the landfill search that succeeded in finding the remains of 2 slain First Nations women cost far less than expected. Kinew says the cost was $18 million, compared with estimates that ran as high as $184 million. Upcoming work to clear the site and move equipment is expected to cost another $2 million. The remains of Mercedes Myron and Morgan Harris were found at a Winnipeg area landfill. And finally, the National Pharmacare program may soon become a luxury only some Canadians can receive, depending on where they live. The feds have reached deals with 4 provinces, including Manitoba, but Ottawa isn't saying if it will negotiate with anyone else. As the CBC's Ian Fraze reports, early returns from the provinces with National Pharmacare are encouraging.
On the front line, when you tell someone that they don't have to pay anything, they're happy.
Aaron McKenzie says National Pharmacare has left some islanders surprised. Now their diabetes meds and prescription birth control are free, fully covered by the federal government. McKenzie is with the PEI Pharmacists Association.
I think a lot of pharmacy teams have the affected list of drugs hung up somewhere close to the computer and are becoming quite savvy with which ones those are.
So far, there's only drug coverage from the feds in PEI and Manitoba. It'll be expanded next March to BC and the Yukon, and after that, who knows? Prime Minister Mark Carney's government has only promised to protect existing pharmacare deals, leaving many to wonder when and if any other deals will be made. Elizabeth Thompson advocates for reproductive health in Ontario.
For us to not be signed on to a program like this, you're missing nearly a third of the population of Canada.
Ian Fraze, CBC News, Ottawa.
And for more on that story or any of our stories, head to cbc.ca/Manitoba.
All right, thanks, Matt Humphrey.
Back soon.
Let's get into the regional forecast now. Let's start with the rainfall warning, which continues for the north. So as you mentioned, 50 to 70 millimeters total. This is a system that started yesterday. It's going to run through tonight. It will affect Lynn Lake, Leaf Puck, as well as Thompson, Nelson House, Split, Gillam, Shamattawa, and rain at times will be heavy. It is already raining in the Paw and Flin Flon this morning, and it's foggy in Churchill. Let's do your major centers here, starting in Winnipeg. Sunny today for us here in Winnipeg. Mix of sun and cloud late this afternoon. Going to be windy. Winds will gust 40 to 60 this morning, and our high is 21 degrees. Right now it's clear and 10. Still windy into tonight. Slight chance of showers, and tomorrow sun and cloud again. Slight chance of showers, but a high of 18 on a windy Saturday, and then into the rounding out the weekend, sunny on Sunday, and a high once again of 18 degrees. So that's Winnipeg. Over in Brandon, mostly cloudy, 9 degrees. Winds are southwest at 11 right now. You'll expect a sunny day as well, a high of 20, and gusty winds up to 70 for you. Tonight, partly cloudy, strong winds, low 8. Tomorrow, sun and cloud and a high of 20. And then rounding out your weekend in Brandon, you're looking for a Sunday that's going to be sunny and 20 degrees on Sunday. And up in Thompson, I mentioned the rainfall warning continues. It's mostly cloudy right now. It's calm in terms of the wind condition and 10 degrees. Today in Thompson, about 10 to 20 millimeters of rain. In that system, continuing a high of 13. Still tonight, periods of rain persisting, a low of 8. And when it finally moves out, then tomorrow, mainly cloudy, but another 60% chance of showers, at least for your day in Thompson tomorrow. So could still be wet, a high of 15 degrees. And finally, Thompson rounding out the weekend. Sunday, you're sunny and 19. So it's going to be wet for a couple of days up north, which is good news for the wildfires. Let's get to what is happening in the morning commute. Corey Funk's going to be at Louise Bridge later. But what about right now, Corey?
Yeah, so I'm going to be there because, of course, the Louise Bridge is reopening today. It opened at 6 a.m., so it's been up and running for a little while now. But not far from the Louise Bridge, actually, there is a traffic issue to keep an eye out for. Disraeli Freeway going northbound. Just past Argyle, there's emergency crews blocking the curb lane. So keep left to get around that. Maybe cause some backups for folks as traffic starts to pick up across the Disraeli. Otherwise, it's been pretty quiet so far. But if you see something going on, give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number, 204-788-3093.
We're going to just give away a book right now.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let me get it.
I like
Here
books.
It is. Okay, we have to pull all of these little tabs off it. This is my working copy. So it's got a whole bunch of little stickies and stuff. And I didn't put pen on it, but I did dog-ear some pages too.
You should leave it in as like Marcy Marcusa marked.
Some of this will also be Chloe Friesen marked. I just want to say because she was helping me with prep here
exactly.
too. This is Children Like Us. Brittany Penner was on our show yesterday. Really incredible story and memoir. All true, written from her experience growing up in a Mennonite family. She herself made tea and learned she was part of the 60s scoop. Didn't wrap her head around that till she was older, but there's so many layers to it. So why don't we give it away? Do you want emails or do you want calls? You're the one that's got to go over there and take
Let's do emails,
Okay.
and we'll make it a race. First one to email us wins.
Great. That's easy peasy. Nice Friday morning giveaway. I'll give you that, Corey. You can pull the stickies out and stuff.
Okie dokie.
And the first one that emails radio893 at cbc.ca, radio893 at cbc.ca, will walk away with the book. Good luck. It's a good one. It's 21 minutes to 7 o'clock right now. And we have Christelle Ramlakan who joins us with... we have Katie Toth this morning who joins us in for Christelle Ramlakan with our business news. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Marcy. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. So I want to ask you to the U.S. first. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is supposed to be in Jackson Hole, Wyoming today. Why are people watching this so closely?
Well, because this is usually a speech where the chair gives some hints about what to expect for interest rates in the months ahead. But they're also watching because this is supposed to be Jerome Powell's swan song, his last big speech at these annual meetings in Wyoming before his term ends next spring. And President Donald Trump has made it pretty clear he doesn't want Jerome Powell to stay in the gig any longer. There was the name calling over the rate cut issue. Trump wants lower rates. Jerome Powell wants to stay the course, see how things play out. But now things have really heated up, and CNN saw a letter from a Justice Department lawyer suggesting it's investigating another Federal Reserve member over mortgage fraud. And do you remember in July, Trump threatened Powell that he wouldn't fire him unless he was, convicted of fraud? So he's now kind of watching this play out against one of his colleagues. I think we can expect him to make some kind of statement, even if it's subtle, about the independence of the office. And when it comes to inflation, economists are expecting a rate cut in September, but some Fed members are still worried about inflation more than jobs right now. So he'll probably try to thread the needle there, keep it vague.
Now, before I ask you about another international story, I neglected to ask you about Air Canada. You do actually have a quick update for us, right?
Yeah, just really quick. The company says it does expect to be operating close to a full network schedule today, and flight attendants will vote next week on the deal that the union and management hammered out this week. So, hopefully people will be getting back in the air.
Let's go to Cuba now with another international business story. Pensions just went up there. How are people reacting?
They're happy for the boost, but they say it really won't help much because of these structural factors that are leading prices to skyrocket in the market. The pensions went up by more than 1,500 pesos, and pensioners will be paid up to a ceiling of 4,000 pesos a month. But according to one retiree, a dozen eggs is about 1,120 pesos on the street right now. So the math is not mathing, Cuba has faced some really severe struggles economically over the past few years, and there's a few reasons for that, Marcy. First, tourism, huge sector for the Cuban economy. The pandemic hit that hard. It was hard to bounce back. Second, new rounds of tough U.S. sanctions imposed by Donald Trump in his first term, many of which were left in place by Joe Biden. Trump has called it a campaign of maximum pressure. In 2019, he actually allowed U.S. nationals to sue companies that do business involving property confiscated by the Cuban state way back during the revolution. Now, Canada has said it will defend any Canadian companies caught up in this, but a lot of businesses don't want the hassle, Finally, Cuba unified its two currencies in 2021. So it had this foreign-friendly convertible peso, and it had a domestic peso. But critics say that the fixed exchange rate that was chosen when they brought those two together was just unrealistic, leading to kind of a runaway inflation situation.
And finally, YouTube is the new TV.
Yes. I always thought YouTube was something you watch on your laptop or on your phone, but Nielsen ratings from this May show that YouTube is now the top streaming distributor on TV in terms of minutes, more share than Disney, Netflix, or Amazon Prime. I guess there's a lot of stuff there, but what was interesting to me was the breadth of its reach. Entertainment analysts at The Hub crunched some numbers. They found people who watch TV on YouTube do tend to just watch more TV generally, but other than that, there weren't significant demographic differences. This didn't skew younger. They also found more people watch YouTube on TV than people who watch on their desktop or laptop. So this really shows us how these companies have just become really wrapped into our habits and our daily life.
How are the markets looking this morning?
I don't have the markets for you, Marcy.
Oh, I apologize. I'm so programmed to ask for Crystal Lee. I'm going to point people to cbc.ca/business to get their latest numbers. And Crystal Lee's going to be off for a while. Katie, thanks for filling in this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Katie Toth with our business news. 6:43 a.m. is the time right now on 89.3 FM, 990 a.m. on the app and on YouTube. Well, where you might be watching Ella, the last story with Katie. I want to mention that we do have a book winner here. So we went into business news right before we talked to Katie, and we were giving away the book. The author we talked to yesterday, Brittany Penner, Children Like Us, is her memoir of living here in a Mennonite town in Manitoba where she was adopted. She is Métis. She was part of the 60 Scoop. It's really quite a book. And you know who's going to be reading it? Deneen Madden. So congratulations, Deneen. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the read. Corey, of course, spoke with you, and we'll get you that book off air. Maybe in time for this weekend. Have a little read. Well, if you're not sitting reading, maybe you're going to be out and about playing pickleball, because it sure is popular. It is, in fact, one of the fastest growing sports. This week, players from all over Canada are in Winnipeg for the national championships. CBC's Zabina Ahmed was at Taylor Tennis Centre yesterday, and she met a few players, including brothers Sean LeCap and Cole LeCap. They're part of Team Manitoba.
It's amazing to have this big event come to Winnipeg. It's really nice that we don't have to travel and that we have all these amazing competitors come from across the country here in our hometown, and we get to play against the players we probably wouldn't have had very much chance playing against. So it's a great opportunity for us and for other players here in Manitoba to get this chance. You don't get a lot of spots in terms of selection for the province to represent the province. We're one of a few, and so we're very happy, very, very happy to be playing.
What would you tell people, or maybe a lot of people who want to get into pickleball, what are the kind of tips you would want to give them or encourage them?
You know what? It's a very accessible sport, right? There's 2 indoor facilities that are opening up here in Winnipeg, right? And there are a lot of outdoor courts, right? So honestly, just grab a paddle, right? Find an outdoor court, right? And then just grab a couple of your friends and then just hit a ball. And like as Sean said, right, it's easy to get into. It's easy, right? Very easy. Going right away, and have fun right away too, right? So,
Chadwick Burnell.
And you are playing from Team Alberta?
Yeah, I'm one of the alternates on the team.
Okay, and what about you?
And I'm Brenda Harlock. You know, it's been a great 3 days for all of us. We all came down on Monday, and we're all playing in different events as well within our age bracket. And this is just a great inaugural event that they're doing for Pickleball Canada to bring all the provinces together and celebrate pickleball.
Yeah. People in Winnipeg have been such great hosts, making us feel welcome, telling us what to do between days and run our time off. So it's been a really great experience coming here and just playing in such a great venue and meeting people not only from just Winnipeg, but across the country as well, and seeing what all the provinces have to offer. It's been such an amazing experience.
My name is Ted Fardeau, and I am president of Pickleball Manitoba. This is the first time Manitoba has hosted the National Championship Tournament. We're honored to have it. And it's been a lot of work. Pickleball Canada has been fantastic to work with on the organization of the tournament. It's great. We've got an incredible sponsorship group involved. Pickleball in Manitoba is growing every day. There's new members with Pickleball Manitoba every day. We've grown by 1,000 people a year over the last couple of years as members, and so happy to have all those people. It allows us to build programming. We are heavy into youth programming and getting into the high schools and that kind of thing now. So we're building the sport in the province, and it's going fantastic.
And is this game happening for all ages and skills?
It definitely is for all ages and skills. I believe our youngest participant this year in this tournament is 14, and our oldest is 80. And you can pick this game up at any time. The learning curve is steep, so first day you might not be very good. Second day you're playing with your friends and you're having a bunch of fun and there's success with it. So it's a fantastic game to have. It's a sport for life.
That was CBC's Zabina Ahmed out at the Taylor Tennis Centre yesterday in Winnipeg, talking about the pickleball national championships that are being held here. Players from all over Canada, as you heard, of all ages, are here for the tournament. They're speaking with the main organizer, and also speaking there was Sean, and Cole LeCap, who are on Team Manitoba.
If it happened today, find out today. That's the power of having the news in your hand.
Get late-breaking news from reporters across the country, straight to your mobile device. Customize your experience with news from your region and what matters to you. Whether it's big headlines, detailed articles, live events, or on-demand video, CBC News has got you covered. Connect to the world. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca.
I mentioned Zubina in conversation with organizers there. That was Ted Fardo, Pickleball Manitoba president, in that last item. It is 11 minutes to 7 o'clock now. It's 10 degrees in Winnipeg and clear. That rainfall warning continues across much of the north, including Thompson, where you are expecting a lot more rain today in your forecast. So about 10 to 20 more millimeters still coming. Right now, though, it is just mostly cloudy, we understand, and 10 degrees. Environment Canada reporting no rain at the moment. Brandon, mostly cloudy and 9 degrees. We have a traffic update here for your Friday morning. Disraeli Freeway past Argyle. Corey had mentioned that was a problem. Now it is clear. So Disraeli Freeway past Argyle. Emergency crews have cleared that area. All lanes are now open for traffic. Next on Information Radio. As Israeli forces push into Gaza City, a ceasefire proposal remains on the table. Hamas says it has accepted the latest deal presented by Egypt and Qatar. Yesterday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's instructed negotiations to begin for the release of all hostages held in Gaza. Now, these negotiations that we're talking about also come, however, at a time as a UN-backed hunger monitor says famine conditions do exist in Gaza. So this is out of a report this morning. We'll hear more analysis on World Report. The United Nations Emergency Coordinator Tom Fletcher spoke to reporters in Geneva upon the release of the report. He said, quote, "Read it in sorrow and in anger." And we will hear more about that. The famine use of the term famine in this report is still a claim that Israel is denying this morning, but we will hear, as I mentioned, some more analysis of that coming up. We have our own, though, right now with Omar Rahman, who is with us, fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs. He is in Washington, D.C. this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
How would you describe the state of the ceasefire negotiations at this moment?
Well, there's a proposal on the table. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Hamas has accepted it. This is a proposal that the mediators, the Qatari and Egyptian mediators, have described as essentially the Steve Witkoff plan from a few months ago, which is a temporary pause in fighting for 60 days, which is something that Hamas was unwilling to really agree to in the past because it wanted to see a permanent ceasefire. And so it had agreed to in the past, kind of a staged one that would get to that permanent ceasefire negotiations. Unfortunately, Israel broke that back in March. This time around, even though Israel had nominally agreed to the Witkoff plan earlier, this time around it has not responded to it. At the same time, it's ramping up this military operation into the northern Gaza Strip, while the UN, as you mentioned, has said that famine is there's a full-blown famine in the north of Gaza Strip, and that 500,000 people are starving to death, and over 1 million are in emergency starvation conditions.
So what does the push you mentioned into Gaza City on the ground, by the way, tell you about the direction that Israel intends on taking?
Well, Israel has seemed intent on, basically removing the entire population from the north of the Gaza Strip, as well as most of the rest, and pushing that population down into the south. I mean, that's been going on for 22 months now. They pushed many people out, destroyed the northern Gaza Strip in the past, and then in that ceasefire that was announced back in January, many people returned back north up to their homes. I mean, we saw images of these huge waves of people returning north. Now Israel has been intent on pushing those people back out and reoccupying Gaza City, which is essentially to prevent that population from returning. So it's used forced starvation as a policy in order to get those people to move. It did that by closing down all the UN aid distribution sites throughout the Gaza Strip. There were 400 of them. It launched this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which only had 4 aid sites for the entire Gaza Strip, all of them located really in the south, in order to lure that population that was hungry and starving back down south. Not everybody went, some went, and now it's putting its military back into Gaza City to force the remaining population out.
I just quoted Tom Fletcher. He went on to speak to CBC. He said, quote, "For humanity's sake, let us in," end quote. So still pushing to get that aid in. What outside interventions do you think could prove useful in moving forward here?
I mean, the situation is so desperate. I mean, listen to what the UN is saying there, and listen and see with your own phones, with your own computers, however you're able to see the images of what's happening out of Gaza Strip. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, there are daily massacres, people starving to death, children. So it really demands an international intervention now, immediately. No more kind of rhetorical condemnation of what Israel's doing. Israel has proven, unresponsive to any of that, any type of words. So it really demands some type of action, be that, a UN peacekeeping force that can go in there at least to break the siege and allow food and clean water and medicine to reach this desperate population. At the same time, all states are obligated under international law to act not to aid Israel as it's committing war crimes in the Gaza Strip, which it's clearly doing, and do that by either cutting its economic relations with Israel, arms embargo, sanctions, anything that really puts pressure on the Israelis and makes them realize that what's happening in the Gaza Strip is totally unacceptable and needs to come to an immediate end.
Just to remind people, historically, what continue to be the sticking points, or what have been the sticking points between the two sides?
I mean, the major sticking points have really been, Hamas has insisted that there's a permanent end to the hostilities and that Israel's military exit the Gaza Strip. Now, it's been willing to come to terms on who governs Gaza. It will step back. There will be a technical or technocratic government that would take its place. All those things have been up for negotiation. But the major sticking point was to end the hostilities permanently and see Israel's military to move. Israel, at the same time, has larger objectives here that we've been describing. It has refused to commit to an end to the violence, which both serves those objectives and also serves, the personal political objectives of Netanyahu, who likes this kind of open-ended conflict because it allows him to maneuver and not face any type of elections or accountability. The legal proceedings that he's facing, can be delayed at various times. So, it's refused to do that, and it's refused to exit the Gaza Strip under the pretext of its future security. So, that's really the major sticking point. I think other things have been added in recent days, really, Hamas's disarmament and all that kind of stuff. Those are other sticking points, I think, that have not been worked out. But overall, it's really basically what comes the day after in Gaza. That's the major sticking point.
Omar, thank you for your time today.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me.
That is Omar Hoffman, a fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs. Now, World Report is coming up here in 4 minutes' time, and we will hear more about this report that we've been mentioning and talking about that says famine exists in an area in Gaza. Now, for the definition of that, and I know a lot of people ask us as journalists about the language that we use here on the air. So when we say genocide, when we say famine, when we use words as pertaining to any conflict, there are definitions to these things in terms of how the world looks at them and how they're reported. CBC is on the ground there as well. You hear Margaret Evans at 7 o'clock here talking about some of her reporting out of Gaza. But the definition of famine says it exists in an area when 3 of these following conditions are confirmed. At least 20% of households have an extreme lack of food or are essentially starving. At least 30% of children 6 months to 5 years old suffer from acute malnutrition or wasting, means they're too thin for their height. And at least 2 people or 4 children under the age of 5 for every 10,000 people in any population are dying daily due to starvation at the interaction of malnutrition and disease. So we're going to hear more about that and why this report does use the word famine for what's happening in Gaza, and also how often, and actually it's not often, how infrequently that term famine has been used when you look around the world at events over the last 25 years. So that'll be some of the reporting you're about to hear on CBC at 7 o'clock. Right now, we are turning our attention to local stories here in Manitoba. Matt Humphrey is in with our headlines.
Good morning. The father of a man who died while evacuated from his northern First Nation due to wildfires, Marcel Colombe First Nation, says attempts to repatriate his son's remains were delayed by bureaucratic red tape. He ended up having less than 3 hours to bury his son, robbing the grieving father of a sense of closure. We'll hear more about that. And in case you missed it, running back Brady Oliveira led the charge as the Blue Bombers handed the injury-plagued Montreal Alouettes their 4th consecutive loss with a 26-13 win. The reigning CFL Most Outstanding Player gave Winnipeg a 23-13 lead with a 3-yard touchdown run in the 4th quarter. totaling 137 rushing yards.
He was great last night.
Also 73 through the air.
He was also great last night, Claros. Thank you.
Yeah, back soon.
We have sports actually coming up with more detail on that and other stories at 7:25. That's Matt Humphrey from our news department. Just to reiterate, traffic, Disraeli Freeway past Argyle is now reopened. So that scene is cleared. 788-3093 if you need to reach us with any other issues on your commute. Rainfall warning to northern Manitoba does include Thompson today. That continued rainfall, 50 to 70 millimeters total, 10 to 20 coming in Thompson today. For Winnipeg, clear and 10 right now. Our high is going to be 21 degrees. It's going to be a very windy day here in Winnipeg. In the next hour of Information Radio, coming up at 10 to 8, we're going to hear from a Winnipeg mom who says there's a huge impact on families that rely on others to help administer insulin to type 1 diabetics, including her 8-year-old daughter. We're going to hear more about what she hears from other parents and the actions she wants to see this fall in schools. Plus, speaking of school, we're going thrift shopping for school supplies because it's pretty expensive. Stay tuned.
Today on The Current.
I'm Rebecca Zanbergen. At a time where most of us are online, majority of our days, hobbies like knitting and pickling are becoming popular among Gen Z.
What is that you're knitting?
A bottle cover for the sherry. You drink out of a paper bag in the park, and suddenly everybody's your friend.
The comeback of grandma hobbies, as they call it, coming up on The Current.
The Current, this morning at 8:37, 9:07 in Newfoundland, and on the CBC Listen app.
This is World Report. Good morning, I'm John Northcott. For the first time, a United Nations agency is officially declaring famine in Gaza. Here's the UNAID chief, Tom Fletcher.
It is a famine that we could have prevented if we had been allowed. Yet food stacks up at borders because of systematic obstruction by Israel.
Fletcher's demanding Israel open all border crossings to groups bringing food into Gaza. Last month, the agency known as the IPC warned of famine-like conditions in the region, but it now says extreme hunger is spreading rapidly, including in Gaza City. The CBC's senior international correspondent Margaret Evans reports from Jerusalem.
Miriam Dawas lies in a hospital bed in Gaza City. She is 9 but looks 90, a small skeleton who clings to her mother when she sits her up, to show our cameraman the ribs on her back poking through. She says she wants to get better, that she's afraid of the rockets and of dying. Her mother, Mudala Dawas, braces for the possibility even as she tries to feed her. I can't describe my feelings, she says. I don't know what to tell you. For an official declaration of famine, 30% of children under 5 must be suffering from acute malnutrition, and 2 people dying for every 10,000 of outright starvation. Israel categorically denies the report, calling it unfounded propaganda. The UN's Tom Fletcher from the Office Coordinating Humanitarian Relief said the report is irrefutable.
Watched over by drones and the most advanced military technology in history. It is a famine openly promoted by some Israeli leaders as a weapon of war. It is a famine on all of our watch.
The famine declaration comes as Israel prepares for a major ground invasion of Gaza City. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Jerusalem.
We have a developing story now out of the U.S. This past hour, FBI agents raided the home of Donald Trump's former national security advisor. John Bolton served during Trump's first term. The two had major disagreements over Iran, Afghanistan, and North Korea. And in 2020, Bolton published a book that was fiercely critical of Trump. Officials in the Trump administration tried and failed to block its publication, claiming it contained classified materials. Today's raid is reportedly part of an investigation into Bolton's handling of classified documents. More Jeffrey Epstein files could be released today. The U.S. House committee says it will release some of what it has subpoenaed from the Justice Department. But victims' names and other sensitive information will be redacted. James Comer chairs the Republican-led committee investigating Epstein.
We're going to review and we'll work as quickly as we can. This is sensitive information. We want to make sure we don't do anything to harm or jeopardize any victims that were involved in this. But we're going to be transparent, and we're doing what we said we would do. We're getting the documents, and I believe the White House will work with us.
Some Epstein files have been released, but not enough to satisfy disaffected supporters of U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump campaigned on making the files public, but since then, his attorney general has reportedly told him his name appears in some files, and Trump has been trying to downplay attention on the case. A California parole board is denying the release of Eric Menendez, the younger of the Menendez brothers who were convicted 3 decades ago of killing their wealthy parents. Lyle Menendez has his parole hearing today, and as Steve Futterman reports, it's not clear if one brother's rejection will affect the other's bid for freedom. For 10 hours, the parole board asked questions and listened as Eric Menendez, his supporters and relatives urged the parole board to recommend his release. At times, the testimony was graphic. Eric Menendez described the night the killings took place. "My dad was going to rape me that night," he said. "That was going to happen one way or another." In denying the request for parole, one of the board members, Robert Barton, said he sympathizes with what Menendez endured, but Barton said he could have reached out to police or other relatives. One of the biggest issues raised during the hearing was Eric Menendez's repeated use of cell phones while in prison, a clear violation of prison rules. Loyola Law School professor Lori Levinson.
Even though cell phone violations might not be serious to others, they did represent to the parole board somebody who really was not ready yet to follow the rules.
Today, Lyle Menendez goes before the board. Many of the issues will be the same. But even if the board recommends today that Lyle Menendez be set free, it will still be up to California Governor Gavin Newsom. He has the right to veto a release.
I have not watched anything that has come out on the Menendez brothers, and I very intentionally avoided that in expectation and anticipation that this might land on my desk.
The hearings are taking place by video link. The Menendez brothers are here in San Diego at the prison where they are serving time. Steve Futterman for CBC News, San Diego. The mother of 8-year-old Jave Roy says she wants everyone to know his name. He died in Toronto last weekend after he was hit by a stray bullet while in his bed. About 150 people joined her at a vigil last night outside their apartment. Police say the shooting that killed her son happened outside the building. No arrests have been made, and advocates say this should be a turning point in the fight against gun violence. Advocates worries Canada's national Pharmacare plan may never cover the entire country. The federal government has struck deals with 3 provinces and 1 territory, but it isn't saying if it plans to negotiate any more deals. And that's frustrating some people because those provinces that do have Pharmacare say the results are encouraging. Ian Fraze reports.
On the front line, when you tell someone that they don't have to pay anything, they're happy.
Aaron McKenzie says National Pharmacare has left some islanders surprised. Now their diabetes meds and prescription birth control are free, fully covered by the federal government. McKenzie is with the PEI Pharmacists Association.
I think a lot of pharmacy teams have the affected list of drugs hung up somewhere close to the computer and are becoming quite savvy with which ones those are.
So far, there's only drug coverage from the feds in PEI and Manitoba. It'll be expanded next March to BC and the Yukon, and after that, who knows? Prime Minister Mark Carney's government has only promised to protect existing Pharmacare deals, leaving many to wonder when and if any other deals will be made. Elizabeth Thompson advocates for reproductive health in Ontario.
For us to not be signed on to a program like this, you're missing nearly a third of the population of Canada.
Thompson is hopeful a government prioritizing the trade war now will get to other issues later.
There's going to be a lot of pressure, I think, this fall from a lot of groups.
Otherwise, National Pharmacare could fall short of the previous Trudeau government's intentions. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Ottawa.
And finally, people around the world are bidding on a chance to own a piece of Downton Abbey. Props from the television and movie franchise are on the auction block. There's so much interest, a special exhibition's been set up in London for fans. Crystal Gamansing takes us there.
Defining scenes from Downton Abbey flash across a large screen in Bonham's auction house.
I have two friends that are mad about it, so they're going to be very jealous.
Fans packed into the hall pause until a dress table or the Crawley family's 1925 Sunbeam pops on the screen. The real items up for auction steps away are the attraction.
The next film is the last film, and that will be the end of it. So I wanted to see it in real life.
I actually love the silver pieces, so because I collect those.
The auction includes more than 200 lots. Some, like a cane used by the late Dame Maggie Smith, could fetch £800. Lady Mary's wedding dress, $3,000 to $5,000. The famous bell wall, it's already over the expected bid of £7,000.
We always expected there to be an American audience.
Rebecca Anthony is an associate specialist in the pop culture and science department at Bonham's.
The breadth of the viewers has surpassed what we expected. There's bidding all around the world.
Anthony spins around the room, pointing, smiling, telling tales about every piece. A brush, a hat, a script signed by the cast, pieces of television history. Their sale, however, has meaning today and into the future. Some proceeds will go to a charity in support of seriously ill children. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
Oh, my money, if I had that enough money, would be on the 1925 Sunbeam car, although Maggie Smith's cane, pretty cool. Well, that is the latest national, international news, auction news as well from World Report. I'm John Northcott. This is CBC News.
What an iconic theme that is for Downton Abbey. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Thanks for joining us. This is the theme for Information Radio. You're listening to 89.3 FM. This hour on the show, it is back to school shopping season, but even with big sales and coupons, costs are high.
Even like $3 is too much for them, and they are still asking for discounts.
We're going to bring you to a thrift store this hour in Winnipeg's north end, north part of the city, where they're trying to keep low-cost school supplies supplied. Stay tuned. We're going to hear more about that. Also this hour, speaking of back to school, at 7:50, students will be in class soon, and it can bring some stress and anxiety for students and parents around health needs. We're going to hear from a Winnipeg mom who says she has to go to her daughter's school every day, make time in her day to head over there to help give her insulin shots to manage her type 1 diabetes. She's hoping for more support from the school. Stay tuned. Right now, Matt Humphreys in with headlines. Hi, Matt.
Good morning. At the top of the news, some good news for commuters this morning. The Louise Bridge is open once again. It had been closed for nearly 3 months. Initially, the city thought it would only be closed for a few days for scheduled maintenance. Now, the long-term future of the bridge remains a matter of debate amid a by-election campaign in the Elmwood East Kildonan ward. We'll hear more. And the 4th floor of the Millennium Library in downtown Winnipeg has been temporarily closed to visitors as the city examines potential safety upgrades. A city councillor tells CBC News the floor could reopen by next week. We'll hear more about why it's closed at the bottom of the hour.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Back soon.
Let's update the weather here for you. Current conditions in Winnipeg, it's mainly sunny. It's 12 degrees. Warm spot in the province is Victoria Beach at 18. We have the cold spot at Shoal Lake at just 8 degrees. And we have rain issues. So it's raining in Churchill. It's raining in Flin Flon. It is also raining right now in the Paw. The reason I'm saying it's an issue is, well, not because we don't need it, but because we have a rainfall warning. So just note that. This is that system that is moving through parts of the north, as mentioned, with 50 to 70 millimeters of rain. So more on the way today, including in Thompson. Here in Winnipeg, though, for the day, a high of 21 degrees. It's going to be sunny and a mix of sun and cloud late this afternoon. It's going to be windy, which is probably the headline for what's happening in the weather here in Winnipeg. In traffic beyond the Louise Bridge being reopened, please call us if we have any problems out there on the commute. We should be passing along here on the air. And the number to reach us is the commuter line, 788-3093. Well, I was talking about the rain and I was talking about how much it's needed. It is something that they have waited 7 weeks for. Today, residents of Snow Lake will head home. The northern Manitoba town was evacuated twice this summer due to the out-of-control wildfires. Now, the most recent evacuation happened in early July. It's an order that left at least 1,000 Manitobans out of their homes and scattered all throughout the province. So Ron Scott's mayor of Snow Lake, he joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Marcy.
And where are you this morning? Are you there?
I'm in Snow Lake, yes.
Yeah. What does it feel like to be there?
It feels wonderful to be back in town and to see that the wildfire crews are still at it, but there's no fire impinging on the town right now. And, of course, it's been absolutely wonderful to see all this rain that we've had in the last few days.
What does it look like rain-wise? Because we're seeing pictures from different communities of hail and, standing water and such. How did you fare on that end?
We got quite a lot of rain. We had a major thunderstorm go through the other night, but fortunately none of the lightning strikes started another fire, which we've had a problem with a few weeks ago. But certainly all this rain is going to help out immensely. As of last Monday, Manitoba Wildfire advised that they had 956 hotspots still in the fire area, so this rain is really going to help to knock a lot of that down.
Yeah, I bet. What about air quality? Has it helped with that at all?
Quite a bit, yeah. It clears out the smoke. We haven't had really bad smoke here for about a week now. Of course, we get the odd day, particularly if there's a lot of fog in the morning, that can be a little bit smoky. But it's the air quality is very good now.
How do you navigate not having dealt with one but two evacuations in recent weeks in one summer?
It's been extremely trying for everybody. Certainly for everyone that was evacuated twice. First time was that major fire that resulted in the evacuations of Flin Flon, Sheridan, Puckatawagan, and that was coming at us very quickly. So we decided that it was prudent to evacuate everyone, and then fortunately the weather changed. So that ended up being a relatively short evacuation. And then we got hit with a number of lightning strikes that started just to the north of Reed Lake, and that fire quickly ramped up to the north and then came at us. So the fire that resulted in this evacuation almost completely surrounded us. Only the south was still open.
Well, I understand today, as I mentioned, big day, the town's going to provide some resources for those who are returning. So what kind of help can people expect to receive? What should they be prepared to see and understand about coming back?
We've opened up a welcome center at our community hall, and there will be representatives there from Red Cross, Service Canada to help deal with any EI issues that people had. We also have representatives from Manitoba Health, so on both sides, both physical health and mental health, as there's a lot of residents who have been under a lot of duress over the last little while. And we've also opened up a food bank based on some very generous donations from one of our businesses in town. So just going to be basic staples, potatoes, vegetables, some meats, milk, rice, all that kind of thing. That will help residents out who aren't able to bring groceries back with them or maybe extremely financially strapped right now, and that will help get them started. And all of our essential services are open as of today. So, post office, bank, pharmacy, grocery store will be getting a large order in today. So we should have everything up and running and available for people certainly this afternoon.
You going to try to reclaim summer a bit, Mayor Scott? Like have some kind of party or push back the first day of school or something? Because I'm thinking to myself, wow, everybody's returning and trying to get in the mode of back to school, but you guys have really lost a lot this year.
We certainly said goodbye to the summer of 2025. It's been obviously an extremely difficult non-summer for everybody. And especially for the crews that stayed behind and fought the fire. And I just hope all the residents take the time to thank a firefighter because they're the ones, the command team and all the support personnel that stopped the fire right on the edge of town. And that people, appreciate the fact that they do have a home and a business to come back to.
Do you want to shout out any of those folks by name? I know you'll never be able to name all of them, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity because, you started by saying everyone's coming back, but those fire crews are still not done their work. They're still watching, what's happening with hotspots, so things are looking good. Do you want to shout anyone out?
I would certainly make a big shout out to two groups. Certainly the Manitoba Wildfire teams that were in the bush and in the air with helicopters and planes. We had 60 Mexican firefighters that came up nominally for 28 days, but they elected to stay for an extra 2 weeks, so they were actually here for 42 days. And they were replaced now by 106 Costa Rican firefighters who will be going after the hot spots and mopping up and trying to kill this fire. And then the other group is be our own internal group from our volunteer fire department and all the volunteer firefighters that came up from other communities. I'd certainly give a big shout out to our emergency coordinator, Jody Cockle, and our municipal incident commander, Jonathan Young. They stayed here for the entire thing. 44 days of just straight work, and they did an incredible job.
Anything to note, because I know that I haven't asked, you've alluded to this, Mayor Scott, but people might be listening and wondering, when is it finally over? Can we answer that? I mean, obviously there's hot spots still. It will be a difficult decision to say, firefighters will know, but when they're finally going to be out of your area, do you have any sense of that?
At this point in time, I would say probably mid-September would be the last discussion I had with Superintendent Lawrence Huckluck, who is with Manitoba Wildfire. I said, be another couple of weeks by the time they can say that this fire is fully dead.
Okay.
Because even with the rain we've had, he said a lot of the fire has just gone into the what they call the duff, the organic matter, and just sits there and smolders. So they want to hit all of it and make sure it's just done.
Thank you very much for being with us, and I hope that that the day brings lots of smiles and reconnection of community again. You guys have been through this before, but thanks for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcy. Take care.
You too. That is Ron Scott, the mayor of Snow Lake, on with us live on CBC. He is in Snow Lake this morning. Residents will head home today for the first time in several weeks. They had been out and then back in. And as you heard, that rain in the north certainly did help to continue fighting the wildfires.
As wildfires impact our province, keep up to date with CBC. For the latest information, listen to CBC Radio 1. Visit cbc.ca/Manitoba or the CBC News app. For people who have a limited data plan or are running into spotty mobile service on the road, visit cbc.ca/lite. That's cbc.ca/LITE.
Narrative, lyric, heroic, romantic, verse, or prose. The 2025 CBC Poetry Prize is on. Send in your best unpublished poem or poetry collection. Up for grabs, cash prizes from the Canada Council for the Arts, a 2-week writing residency at the Banff Centre for Arts and Creativity, and your work published on CBC Books. Contest closes June 1st. For rules and more, go to cbcbooks.ca.
7:21 a.m. is the time right now. In traffic, I want to mention Carleton, Edmonton, all streets around Canada Life Centre are going to have partial closures, including Graham as well, right? Because of the Canadian Elite Basketball League in town for the big festival weekend and the games too. The Sea Bears are going to be playing tonight, for example. But there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of artists coming in to party with the basketball fans here in Winnipeg. One of them is Sean Desmond, who's going to be performing this weekend. Here he is with Electric.
What up, girl? Check it. You know I've been watching you all night long. Test. I know you got your own thing going on. I can't help but think about what's on your mind.
Test. Can you hear me?
Wanna know what it would take to get inside. Got the whole spot wondering about who you are. You can have your pick, but I'm the one you want. So I'm about to make my way down to the floor. 'Cause I don't think I can hold it back no more. 'Cause you're just fine, going hypnotizing, head down to your toes. Where your hands flowing down your back, watch that body go. It's electric, 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 electric. You're so electric, 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 electric. Girl, you Everything about you is all I want. The way you working it, girl, I can tell you're bad. It drives me crazy when you lick your lips like that. Oh, 'cause you're just fine, going hypnotizing, head down to your toe. With your hands flowing down your back, watch that body go. It's electric, 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 electric. You're so electric, 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 electric.
Sean Desmond and Electric. He's going to be in Winnipeg playing part of the Canadian Elite Basketball League Championship weekend performances. That is because there's a street festival on in between all the games here, right? So all kinds of things going on affecting our downtown, which will be for all good reason. The rain's moved off in Winnipeg, so it should be good weather, if not windy. And this is starting tonight with the Sea Bears. Scott will tee that up in a minute. But as far as the fan events, it's really going to be 3 days all around the street festival area, taking over True North Square and Graham Avenue, which is now, of course, our new pedestrian part of Winnipeg, that corridor there. Also, there's music on the Princess Auto main stage. Sean Desmond will be headlining there with Have I a Mighty, as well as the Free Labels. So food trucks all over the place and 3-on-3 basketball. I think there's a market down there as well. So it's going to be lots of fun. If you want to check out anything and if you want to head out and about in Winnipeg and party, cebl.ca is where you can check everything out. All right, well, let's talk about the sports aspect of what's happening and also what happened with the Bombers last night. Scott Regehr is here. Hi, Scott.
Hey there, Marcy.
So the Bombers with a win last night, and one player really doing most of the damage.
That would be the human bowling ball. Brady Oliveira. Montreal's defenders sure look like bowling pins in his wake, Marcy. Oliveira managing more than 200 yards running and catching combined against them. It was the breakout performance fans of the team have been waiting for from the league's reigning most outstanding player. Oliveira told TSN that despite the Bombers' middling 5-4 start to the campaign, it was only a matter of time.
Don't count us out. Don't ever count us out. We have so much continuity in this locker room. This team has been through so much. We've been through highs and lows. We've been through so much adversity, seen good pictures, bad pictures. We've been through a lot. We know how to get through these tough times. So, again, I just got so much pride and so proud of these guys. All three phases, offense, defense, special teams. We came out here, battled, faced a lot of adversity, and just don't count us out, man. We've been through a lot, and I knew we were going to finish this thing out.
A lot of passion from Brady there. Last night's win did not come without a cost, though. Receivers Nick Dembski and Jareth Stearns both hurt and had to leave early. The double whammy forced Winnipeg to field backup quarterback Chris Strevler as a receiver in the second half. He wasn't called on to make any catches, but did provide some valuable blocks, although with the way Brady Oliveira was running last night, I think anyone could have been blocking. He probably wouldn't have been denied anyway. So Bombers at 6-4 after that win.
All right, let's get to the basketball I was mentioning. The CEBL's championship weekend does start tonight in Winnipeg.
Yep, and for the first time, the Sea Bears will be playing on the championship weekend. Prior to this year's campaign, they made it to the postseason twice, only to fall in the play-in games. This year, by virtue of hosting, they get a bye through to the semifinals. So it's going to be a rest versus rust situation for the Sea Bears, Marcy. Winnipeg hasn't played since the regular season wrapped up almost 2 weeks ago. Their opponents, meanwhile, Calgary, are coming off of back-to-back wins last weekend, including knocking off the top team in the league in Vancouver. Calgary also won the season series between these teams. Still head coach and GM Mike Taylor of Winnipeg says the team will be ready for the challenge.
We know these guys well. We've played them 4 times. The big focus for us is playing at our speed, taking care of the basketball, creating good shots on the offensive end so that we can control the tempo. That's where our focus is. It's the playoffs, so nothing's guaranteed. You got to go out and play well and earn it, and that's really something that our guys are prepared to do.
Winnipeg will have some help as well, looks like it anyway. Emmanuel Acott is set to return to the lineup. Acott has been away from the team representing South Sudan at FIBA's Afro basketball tournament. However, with the South Sudanese team eliminated earlier this week, Acott made the nearly 30-hour trip back to Winnipeg. Now, Taylor would not tip his hand on whether Acott would be available tonight, only saying he was excited and feels the team is back at full strength. Tip-off at Canada Life, 7:30.
Go Sea Bears!
There you go.
Cheering for the underdogs. Let's finish with rugby here this morning. What do we know?
New Orleans is sinking, man, and I don't want to swear.
That's the song played after each try scored by the Canadian women's national team. We hope to hear plenty of the hip then over the next month, Marcy. Canada plays its first match of the Rugby World Cup tomorrow. The Canadians are the planet's second-ranked side right now, which is a small miracle when you consider their lack of funding. And the hip are playing a part in that as well. The band is behind a T-shirt selling campaign, combining their motif alongside Rugby Canada's. So far, nearly $1 million has been raised. Canadian captain Sophie de Goody says she has high hopes that this tournament, which is being played in England, will raise even more awareness.
I think rugby aligns so well with Canadian values. We work hard on the field, we tear each other up, and then we honestly have a beer with the opposition after the game and have a good time, and we're a humble group and a really strong community sport. So I think it has every grounds to take off in Canada, and I think a performance at the World Cup could really do that.
Canada plays its World Cup opener tomorrow against Fiji, and if you want to support them by purchasing one of those T-shirts, you can go to the Tragically Hips website.
All right, thanks a lot, Scott.
You betcha.
Scott Regehr with Morning Sports. Still ahead.
But I hear from so many parents that have had to quit their jobs to make sure their kids are healthy.
That's a Winnipeg mom we'll talk to this half hour. She's talking there about the impact on families that rely on others to help administer insulin to type 1 diabetics, including her 8-year-old daughter. So she's been going in and out of school to do this and looking for more support. We'll find out more. Right now, though, your CBC Winnipeg News.
This is CBC News. At 7:30, we're at 12 degrees with mostly clear skies over downtown Winnipeg. We only have a slight chance of showers later today. Good morning. I'm Matt Humphrey. Traffic is flowing over the Louise Bridge this morning for the first time in nearly 3 months. The city of Winnipeg closed the bridge on May 23rd for maintenance, and it was expected to reopen in a few days. The bridge is slated for rehabilitation work, which could start as early as next year. Some people have argued the city should simply replace the 114-year-old bridge. Emma Durand-Wood is running in the Elmwood East Kildonan by-election. She says the plan to extend the life of the existing bridge is a better use of the city's money.
I think everyone was sort of holding their breath to see, whether it really would open. So it's good news to have that piece of infrastructure back up and running again.
The rehabilitation work is estimated to cost around $40 million, compared to the nearly $180 million for a new bridge. The Millennium Library in downtown Winnipeg has temporarily closed the 4th floor to visitors while it looks at possible safety upgrades. Point Douglas City Councillor Vivian Santos tells CBC the move comes after an incident on Wednesday, just weeks after a 40-year-old died in early August. But she believes no one was hurt this time in the Wednesday incident. She says it involved a person trying to go over a railing on the 4th floor, but it's not clear why.
So the incident that occurred earlier in the month, Millennium Libraries had put more security staff on the 4th floor for safety considerations, and that's my understanding. So there was security staff on the 4th floor when this occurred.
The city says people can speak with library staff on the 1st and 2nd floors regarding computer bookings and to place requests for items from the 4th floor. Santos expects that floor to reopen next week. A father says he had to wade through bureaucracy to bury his son while evacuated due to wildfires. The 35-year-old son died in Brandon earlier this month during an evacuation from Marcel Colombe First Nation. His father, Andrew Colombe, says he had to wait 5 days to get the province's okay to bring his son's body back home. Then he had to borrow a plane, but it was only available for about 3 hours. And that time was spent driving and boating to the First Nation, then digging the grave.
There was no time wasted. There was no time to talk. There was no hugging, or talking, or it was like racing against time and to accommodate the time. And in this whole thing, there's no human accommodation.
At least 2 other Manitobans have died during evacuations this summer. The province says it's been working with communities on a case-by-case basis. As you've been hearing, we have developing international news this morning in the midst of the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza. A declaration came today from the United Nations.
It is a famine on all of our watch. Everyone owns this. The Gaza famine is the world's famine. It is a famine that asks, but what did you do? A famine that will and must haunt us all.
And is the first official confirmation from the United Nations that there is famine in Gaza. And it says it is the result of ongoing hostilities, frequent displacement, and Israeli aid blockades. And finally, billionaire David Thompson wants to buy the Hudson's Bay Charter and donate it to the Archives of Manitoba. The charter was among items to be auctioned off by the Bay until offers emerged to buy it. The chair of the Archives agrees with Thompson and says the charter doesn't belong in a museum, arguing the Archives should be its home. Meanwhile, the Weston family wants to buy it and send it to the Canadian Museum of History in Gatineau, in Quebec. Thompson, one of the richest people in the country, is a media magnate and the chair of Thomson Reuters. The Weston family is best known as the owners of Loblaws. Now it appears the 2 families are set to battle over the historic document. For more on that story and all the other stories, head to our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba, or you can use the CBC News app.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Back soon.
So one of Matt's lead stories this morning was about the Louise Bridge reopening. And we actually, before we look at our regional forecast, are going to take you out to the base of the Louise Bridge. Live right now, that is where CBC's Corey Funk is. And he is with, I can see on Zoom, Corey, it looks like a commuting guest.
That is right. Actually, Alicia Alaterio is here with me. She was I literally flagged her down just as she was about to bike onto the Louise Bridge. She was kind enough to pull over for me over here, heading from Elmwood here into Point Douglas. Hey there.
Hi.
So tell me, so this is your first morning with it open to cars. But I understand you've been biking it the whole time because it has been open to pedestrians.
Yes. I started biking probably right after it closed down.
Okay.
Just because it's more of a convenience, right?
So in a way, how do you feel about it being open today? Because you've actually kind of had it to yourself a little bit until then.
Yeah, so I'm a little upset that I have to share it again. But you know what? It's going to be good because in the wintertime, I take the bus. So it'll be nice to kind of have it open again. Detouring is a little bit out of the way, but we'll see how it goes today and on the way home with all the traffic.
So how vital is this bridge to your commute?
To me, it's super important, especially with the bus and commuting. There's only so many other routes that we could go. And summertime, I've always kind of wanted to stay as active as possible. So this is perfect for it. So I'm hoping they don't want to close it down, but I'm prepared to make some alterations if that's the case.
Yeah, I know. So they do plan to do some more like serious repairs over that to hopefully extend the life of it. But yeah, I mean, when you look online, you see all the chat about the Arlington Bridge thing always comes up, concerns like that. How concerned are you about that? And what do you want to see for this bridge for its future?
You know what? I just wanted to see it maybe a little bit more modified. Like there's obviously a lot of work that requires to be done. However, I know there's costs to that. But even if they could just, put a little bit of effort into it and stretch it out as long as possible. Because it is a main road for a lot of us.
And as a cyclist, do you take the sidewalk? Do you go on the main part? Like, how do you feel biking over it?
Biking over it, like prior to, with the closures, I was so comfortable. It was just me on the road. I didn't have to worry about it. Maybe some street workers. Now I just have to be a little bit more cautious. Maybe I won't wear my headphones. But it's just about being cautious and careful. I typically take like the bike path down Waterfront. So it's just a matter of getting from here to Waterfront safely. So
Right. Do you feel fairly safe crossing the Louise Bridge then?
I do, yeah. I'm happy that there is a sidewalk. If there wasn't, I might be a little bit more concerned, but I will stick to the sidewalk for this bridge for now.
Well, thanks so much for your time. I'll let you get back to work. So thanks for pulling over for me.
So much. It was really nice chatting.
Thank you. So that is Alicia Alitario, Elisa Alitario. Alicia Alitario, Marcy, speaking with on her way to work today. And I'll tell you this, Marcy, I was actually ahead of this opening. It's not just a commuter thing. Keep in mind, there are businesses on either side of this bridge. And I was even chatting with an auto shop owner on the Point Douglas side yesterday. He was just about to board a plane because he actually closed his shop for 2 weeks yesterday. Just because he just wasn't getting enough business. He plans to open now again on Monday because the bridge is open. So not just a commuter convenience thing with this bridge, there's an economic impact here too. So.
All right, Corey, thank you very much for the report live out there. It looks like a beautiful morning with the sun streaming on you. Is it humid out there?
You know what? Not too humid, actually. It's a little cool, a little crisp, actually, but that sun on your face feels really nice. Gorgeous morning to be out on a bike, that's for sure. Kind of jealous, actually.
No doubt. Well, don't leave. Don't get on a bike and go for a ride because we need to talk to you after. And I understand you have a city councilor meeting, you right?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be crossing the bridge, actually. And after 8 o'clock, I'll be chatting with Councillor Ross Eady, who represents the Minarski ward. Just to talk about what he wants to see with the future of the bridge, especially with all the plans going on the Point Douglas side of things, and what he thinks the city should do for the bridge to make that community develop as he hopes it should.
All right. Thanks very much, Corey.
Thank you.
That is the CBC's Corey Funk out live at the base of the Louise Bridge. As you heard, he's going to cross over into that other Point Douglas neighborhood and explore the impact of the closure that it's had on various communities and neighborhoods there. Talking to a commuter on their bike live this morning, heading to their work day. It does look beautiful out there with Corey, so we'll check in with him after 8 o'clock once again with Councillor Eady. I asked if it was muggy because, of course, we're on the other side of this rain. Now, let's briefly look at our regional forecast for today. We are going to expect that sunshine, that beautiful stuff that's streaming into the shot if you're watching the show on YouTube this morning. We're expecting that to stay in Winnipeg all day. Mix the sun this afternoon with a little bit of cloud. The story today will be the wind, though. Winds will be west 40 to 60 and a high of 21. It is sunny and 12 right now. We in Brandon are right now expecting a sunny day as well, and very similar to Winnipeg, a high 20 with winds gusting up to 70. But right now it's 8 degrees and partly cloudy in Brandon. And then up in Thompson, the rain issues continue. 10 to 20 more millimeters expected, a high of 13 degrees. It's going to continue into tonight as well, and another chance of showers moving in with another system tomorrow and a high of 15. So it's really been wet up there, which has been needed. But that warning, the rainfall warning, does continue. The total amounts for the system that started yesterday, 50 to 70 millimeters over Lynn Lake, Leaf Puck, as well as Thompson, Gilman, Shamattawa. Well, next on the show, we have back to school coming up now. What is it? About a week and a half. And despite flashy sales signs and flyers, back to school shopping can be very expensive for families. With factors like inflation and high costs of other essentials to blame for the bill, as well as the ongoing desire to have tech in the classroom that goes beyond pencils and books. For thrifty families looking to cut costs, buying used is an option. CBC's Chloe Friesen visited the Selkirk Avenue MCC Furniture and Thrift Shop in Winnipeg's North End. That's where she met store manager Julia Carr.
$8.50. Yep. So we tried to make some packages for what people might need. So some binders, some notebooks, pens, pencils, Sharpies, markers, notepads, whatever we have in stock.
Right. So like this package has a folder, a binder, some pens, markers. Oh yeah, this is $3. This is $2.
Yeah, so it depends what's in them.
Have people been coming in and looking for it?
Yes, actually yesterday I had a customer that was so excited for back to school, and she bought a whole bunch of different stuff. She almost finished the bin. And she said that she has 5 kids. She homeschools, and she got most of the supplies here. She found a stack of books, and she says that she comes every year to find the school supplies for her kids in this store, and she loves coming here. And it was so nice to hear.
How have you seen like inflation and the cost of living impact the customers here when they are shopping for either back to school clothes or supplies? What are you hearing?
I hear 2 different sides or feelings about how people are affected by it. So we have one side that are always happy and grateful that they can find something a little bit cheaper than that what they find at Walmart or somewhere else that they can afford for their kids, especially if they have few. And then there is the other side of even like $3 is too much for them, and they are still asking for discounts, which we provide if we know that they are like legitimately in need.
So you'll change the price for them?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and even we give them away if we know them, if we know their situation, if they are part of this neighborhood, then yeah, we'll just tell them, you know what, just take it.
Have you seen more parents or kids coming in this month?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. More kids. So we also have some people who volunteers at schools and work at schools. They come and buy their supplies here.
Anne Watchell. Well, I volunteer at a school, an elementary school in Selkirk, and it's in a low-income area where the kids come for breakfast, and that's what I do. And over the years, I have bought numerous things, spoons. I have bought socks for the kids. We find kids come in the winter with no socks in their boots. And other little things that I just think are needed in the breakfast room. I have bought bowls and whatever.
So as we kind of get closer to back to school season, what are you looking for when you come to the thrift store?
Right now, nothing, because I'm waiting till I get back, which will be right in after the long weekend. And it depends. It depends how the year is. And this year it's going to be different. It's always different kids.
How have you seen kind of cost of living impact the kids that you work with at the school?
Today, I can't imagine. I raised 3 kids. I can't imagine going shopping for groceries and raising 3 kids. But also, they have to teach them to be thriftier.
So that was Anne Wachtel, an avid shopper over at the Selkirk Avenue MCC Furniture and Thrift Shop in Winnipeg. We also heard there from store manager Julia Carr. Thanks to CBC Chloe Friesen for heading out and talking to people about how they thrift for back to school. We're wondering whether or not that's something that you do, or whether you've had luck maybe with even refurbished electronics and such for the kids. And how do you do that? Where do you find things? Let us know at 788-3205 as everyone's looking to save some money.
CBC Gem is your ultimate sports destination. It's free, it's live and on demand, and it's everything you need for a summer full of edge-of-your-seat sports action. Experience exciting leagues featuring elite athletes in the Wanda Diamond League, the new Northern Super League with top women's international and Canadian players, and a whole lot more. Watch free on CBC Gem.
7:45 a.m. is the time right now. If you've been listening to World Report this morning, we want to revisit some Manitoba details in response to a story that the CBC's Ian Fraze has been covering. Ian, normally based here in Manitoba, has been working out of Ottawa right now. And there he's been covering a story about the Pharmacare federal plan. 2 provinces, including ours, have implemented Pharmacare this year. 2 more jurisdictions are preparing right now across Canada to roll it out. And then the rest of the country still doesn't know if Ottawa still intends to subsidize some prescription drugs for them as well. So I mentioned that Manitoba was really early to get on board with this Pharmacare federal funding. Manitoba's Pharmacare requires some, by the way, to pay a deductible based on their income. And we wanted to look at the numbers, or Ian did rather, look at the numbers of how it's been used so far. So Ian reports that in the 3.5 months since federal Pharmacare began operating in Manitoba, it supported 139,000 people. Maybe you're one of them listening today. That data according to the province. The province also, it also includes coverage for hormone replacement therapy and for HIV prevention medications, PrEP and PEP. So just some of the highlights from the program as it's been running here. In addition, Ian spoke for the story to Manitoba's health minister. Here's a bit of his conversation with Health Minister Zoma Asseguera.
Pharmacare in Manitoba is going really, really well. We've managed to reach about 140,000 Manitobans with this new Manitoba Enhanced Pharmacare program. And Manitobans are receiving free medications that they would be paying for otherwise. And that's PEP and PrEP, that's HIV medications, or birth control medications, hormone replacement therapies, and diabetes medications. So we're thrilled to see such a strong uptake of this Universal Pharmacare program. And we know there's more work to do to make sure it's reaching as many Manitobans as possible.
A good chunk of those people would have benefited from private plans or from the provincial plan that existed previously. Is that correct?
Many of the folks who are receiving universal free medications as a result of this Pharmacare program would have had to pay out of pocket. And what we know, and I've heard this from not only Manitobans who are getting these medications for free now, but we also heard this loud and clear from doctors and medical providers that previously they weren't able to have conversations with some of their patients about the options available because they knew their patients couldn't afford it. And now they're able to have open conversations, let them know about all available options to them because the medication is covered, it's free. And our government is making it possible for people to make the choices that are the best for them and their health, not simply what they can afford to pay for.
What are you hearing from patients, if anything?
We're hearing a lot of thanks from patients across the province. It really, really touches me every single time I hear from a Manitoban who reaches out to say that they didn't actually even know that their diabetes medication was now free or that their birth control is now free. And they went to the pharmacy to get a prescription filled and they were overjoyed to realize that the hundreds of dollars they've been spending on that medication is now zero. That means they can spend that money in other parts of their lives. I've heard from many women who have been able to finally access hormone replacement therapies they previously thought was out of reach. And it's really been a wonderful reception from Manitobans, and it's what Manitobans deserve. They were asking for this for years. Our government promised to deliver this, and we're delivering it for Manitobans in partnership with Canada.
Now, this deal across the country was focused on birth control and diabetes, but looking at the Manitoba case, there's HIV prevention, there's hormone replacement therapy. I think BC has hormone replacement therapy as well. Are these kind of the Manitoba exclusive elements to this arrangement?
We wanted to make sure that not only we got a deal signed for Manitoba, but that's the best deal for Manitobans. And so we worked very hard and very quickly with our federal partners to make sure that we could have universal free medication for Manitobans in a way that meets the needs of Manitobans. And so we were able to build a deal, an agreement that works for Manitobans. And we're thrilled that we were able to do just that. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of negotiation. But I'm thrilled that Manitoba was able to strike this deal with Canada and that it's benefiting more Manitobans as a result. If we had gone with simply what Canada brought forward, we would not be reaching as many Manitobans as we are with these life-saving and life-changing medications and options. And so I'm glad that we had the opportunity to do that work and that we got it done for Manitobans.
So that is the Health Minister for Manitoba, Uzoma Asagwara, in conversation with the CBC's Ian Fraze. Ian has been covering a federal story about the Pharmacare plans. And if you want to read more about Manitoba's early adoption to the plan and what might be coming next in some more detail, and also where the other provinces are at with this, you can check out cbc.ca/Manitoba. It is now 9 minutes to 8 o'clock on your morning show. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Thanks for joining us here in Information Radio. Nice and sunny out there, 12 degrees. And for most of the day, we're going to have a nice day, mostly sunshine, a high of 21, some cloud late this afternoon. It's going to be windy, though. Winds will be west 40 to 60. So that could impact you if you're walking or depending on which direction you're going, if you're biking, of course. Well, let's stay with a healthcare story. Next on the show, Ashley McCaig is in studio with us. Ashley's a mom of an 8-year-old named Anna. And Anna was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 3 years old, so she uses an insulin pump. She's getting ready to go into grade 4 this year at Sam Berlin School in the Louis Riel School Division. Now, since her diagnosis, Ashley says she or another family member have to change their days around and go to the school and help Anna at lunchtime to administer insulin and monitor the pump. That's because the province's healthcare plan for type 1 diabetics in schools and daycares only allows educators and support staff to monitor insulin levels, but not to give the injections. So Ashley's here to tell us more about that experience and what she's hoping might change for her and other families. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
So give me a picture of this. Does Ashley come home for the injection, or do you go to the school, or how does it work when you're trying to help out?
Yeah, for sure. So right now in Manitoba, myself and all parents of type 1s that have children that are young or with a cognitive disability that are not able to punch in the numbers themselves on their insulin pump. You got to do the lunchtime hustle and run to your daycare or school, run back to work. And it can be extremely challenging because most people's work and their child's school or daycare isn't a few minutes away, or lunchtimes don't line up. So it can be extremely challenging. I know folks that have had to reduce hours or quit their jobs for their children to health care. And it's actually the only medical need that parents are expected to deliver in schools.
You have gone to the school division in province about your concerns. What response did they give you? Yep,
The school division, they've been very supportive of Anna and her diabetes, and absolutely wonderful. Samuel Berland and Louis Riel, we've got to give a huge shout out to her teachers, administration, and they follow the plans extremely well. And as far as her sugars, if she's going to go low, they'll remind her to have a juice. When she was younger, they would give her that juice if she needed, that kind of thing. Wonderful. And they have said, the assistant superintendent told me they follow the URIS Manitoba Health Guidelines, and they're binded by that. That's legally what they do, and they do an amazing job at that, but they're not able to help out with the insulin. And so I have talked to the Department of Health and Education, and so they have listened to my concerns and other concerns, and Diabetes Canada has advocated on this issue also. But as of yet, there hasn't been any movement towards changing it.
Can Anna administer injections herself? Like, I know this has been ongoing for you for years, so is she able to do that yet?
So when she was young, like when we started off with needles, she wasn't able to do that. When we switched to a pump at age 4, she didn't know her numbers. Age 4-year-old probably doesn't know a 3 versus a 5. So it's kind of like a cell phone. You're literally punching in numbers for the lunch and pressing enter. So she wasn't able to do that. Now she does know her numbers and she is able to do it herself. It's having that extra kind of check and assurance that it's being put in, correctly. She is becoming a lot more independent, but way back in the day, and everyone, I know folks that are newly diagnosed now with littles, it's a lot of years of having to change your life.
Yeah, you're here for not just your family, as you outlined at the beginning, for others as well.
Yeah.
What was it like for you, just to get back to your personal story, though? Did you have to tell your employer, this is part of my life?
Yeah, for sure. I was able to get accommodation. So I was super lucky to achieve that. But again, lots of folks, depending on their job, even in healthcare, I know a nurse, I know a paramedic, she works in the Interlake. You can't leave your emergency call to go to your child's school.
So you mentioned the division's been great through all this. What are you hoping might change at the the provincial level, because the division's saying they're strapped by the rules? What do you hope might change?
For sure. I would love for the URIS guidelines to change, for public health nurses, URIS nurses to train school personnel. So that can be educational assistants. It could be the secretary. It could be resource teachers to help. And it's really with young children, working in partnership with the parents, just helping them administer. And with the proper training and observation, it could be very safe. And the risk right now of folks that aren't able to have this lunchtime dose is a lot of kids are riding high blood sugars all day. And so what that means is it's harder to pay attention at school, harder to learn, and their long-term health is being affected. So there is risk. There's always risk in healthcare, but the risk of these children now not having the lunchtime insulin is also a risk.
You're talking about risk, so I'm just casting my mind to some of the challenges that might come if they do change the URIS guidelines, because obviously students come to school with all kinds of different needs, and if it's administering medication into a person's body, because that's what this is, they may say, well, that risk is a liability, and what if something went wrong and it was a school staff person, administering? What are your thoughts on that this may be well, and people can understand the desire for it, that it might not be something that can be achieved?
For sure. So Nova Scotia and British Columbia already have policies on this, and there's a double check. Nova Scotia, actually, in their recommendations, they say the risk is the same, because right now, even folks not getting a lunchtime pump where you're pressing a button or a needle, you still have a huge risk if they don't eat their lunch, they're going to shoot low and could have an emergency. So the risk they say is the same. And we do have all the frameworks for monitoring blood sugar, which are working exceptionally well.
So just to interject, in Nova Scotia, those other provinces, are they training all teachers to do this, or they have someone designated in the school? Like they've made those changes?
They have policy in place already. And usually it's, around 2 or 3 people trained. So if someone's away, that kind of thing.
Got it. So we have a benchmark there that we could follow if the province chooses to. What's your message before you go this morning to other parents that are experiencing this as well?
We all want our best for our kids, and the tech of the insulin pumps is so amazing. You don't have needle anxiety. You're healthier, happier. You can be a regular kid. And I really encourage folks to go for it if you can. And I really hope the government can make a change as soon as possible.
Good luck with grade 4.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
By the way, just for a stat here, and as soon as I said that, I'm gonna not find it for myself. I just wanted to mention that according to the Type 1 Diabetes Index, 1 in 24 families are impacted by the disease across Canada. We've been talking to one of those families, Ashley McCaig, mother to a Type 1 diabetic, a child who lives with diabetes here in Manitoba. So we did reach out to the Louis Riel School Division. They said in a statement, quote, the Louis Riel Division follows the guidelines provided to us by the province, WRHA and URAS nurses, as outlined in our interview. The guidelines, they also went on to say, allow us to monitor levels, but we do not administer insulin injections, end quote. So that's just to reiterate what we understand about the story and what Ashley was sharing. We did also reach out to the province for comment on this story, and we have yet to hear back. It is now 1 minute to 8 o'clock. Matt Humphrey is in with other stories and developments. Hi.
Yeah, good morning. It appears that 2 of Canada's richest people are set to battle over the Hudson's Bay Charter. One, the owner of Reuters, David Thompson, wants to buy it and donate it to the Archives of Manitoba. The other family, the Weston family, who owns Loblaws, wants to donate it to the Canadian Museum of History in Gatineau, Quebec. We'll hear more at the bottom of the hour.
All right, thanks very much, Matt.
Back soon.
Louise Bridge is open. Corey Funk is there. He's already talked to a commuter who is really happy about it this morning. She's on her bike. What does the area councillor have to say about it? One of the councillors. We'll find out more about why it's important to the neighborhood. Stay tuned.
Today on Q.
I'm Jill Deacon, sitting in for Tom Power. For decades, John Fogerty didn't own the rights to the songs that he wrote for the legendary rock band Creedence Clearwater Revival, until now. He'll be here to talk about what this moment means to him and look back on writing some of his biggest hits.
Q, this morning at 10:30 in Newfoundland, and on the CBC Listen app, or wherever you get your podcasts. The CBC News is next. Coming up in half an hour, it's The Current.
I'm Rebecca Zanbergen. At a time where most of us are online, majority of our days, hobbies like knitting and pickling are becoming popular among Gen Z. The comeback of grandma hobbies, as they call it, coming up on The Current.
This is World Report. Good morning, I'm John Northcott. The United Nations aid chief says there is officially famine in Gaza.
Be in no doubt that this is irrefutable testimony. It is a famine. The Gaza famine.
Tom Fletcher says this hunger crisis was preventable. His agency, the IPC, blames obstruction from Israel for the starvation, and he's calling for unimpeded humanitarian access to the region.
My ask, my plea, my demand to Prime Minister Netanyahu and anyone who can reach him: enough. Ceasefire. Open the crossings, north and south, all of them. Let us get food and other supplies in.
The IPC report says nearly a quarter of the Palestinians in Gaza, more than 500,000 people, are experiencing extreme hunger. Israel's foreign ministry has responded to the report, saying there is no famine in Gaza. FBI agents are raiding the home and office of Donald Trump's former national security advisor. John Bolton served during Trump's first term. The two had major disagreements over Iran, Afghanistan, and North Korea. And in 2020, Bolton wrote a book that was fiercely critical of Trump. Officials in his administration tried and failed to block its publication, claiming it contained classified materials. Today's raids are reportedly part of an investigation into Bolton's handling of classified documents. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is stepping up its campaign to deport people who are in the U.S. illegally. Officials are examining the records of 55 million people holding U.S. visas, looking for anything that could get them disqualified or deported. The CBC's Lisa Shing is in our Washington bureau. Lisa, how wide is this review?
Well, John, this is a major expansion of the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. It's now reviewing all 55 million visa holders, so it's sweeping. The so-called continuous vetting by the State Department will allow it to revoke visas, deport people if they find evidence of anything from overstays to criminal activity. And initially, Trump was focused on illegal migration. This has expanded to include reviews of legal migration, too. Earlier this week, the administration revoked more than 6,000 student visas. It's also put a pause on issuing visas to commercial truck drivers after a fatal crash in Florida. So this latest announcement means it's not just people who work and study here who could be affected, but some tourists too.
Lisa, this comes as a judge has ordered that no more immigrant detainees be sent to the so-called Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center. Tell us more about that.
So after environmental groups and tribes in the area filed a lawsuit, a federal judge issued an injunction late last night directing this controversial immigration detention camp in the Florida Everglades to stop taking any more detainees. It's also ordered the removal of infrastructure added to the site within 60 days, and that's significant. That includes lighting, fencing, generators. So while it isn't an outright closure, it's not really clear how the facility will continue to operate without these resources. So the groups that sued calling it a major victory, while the state of Florida has already appealed.
CBC's Lisa Shing in Washington. Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
California voters will decide in November whether to approve a new electoral map. Lawmakers have approved Governor Gavin Newsom's plan to redraw lines for congressional districts. He says he's trying to counterbalance redistricting in Texas carried out at the urging of U.S. President Donald Trump.
He's trying to rig the election. He's trying to set up the conditions where he can claim that the elections were not won fair and square. Open your eyes to what is going on in the United States of America in 2025. That's what this is about.
The new California map is intended to give Democrats 5 more seats in the U.S. Congress. The members of a BC ostrich farm, or rather the owners of a BC ostrich farm, say they will not give up their fight to save the birds. Last December, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency ordered the farm to cull all its ostriches after 2 of them tested positive for avian flu. And yesterday, the courts upheld that order. Yasmin Renea has more.
It's devastating. We've made it this far.
After months of legal battles, the Federal Court of Appeal has ruled that a cull of about 400 ostriches belonging to Katie Pasitny and her parents can go ahead. Last year, 2 of the birds tested positive for avian flu on the farm in a remote part of the BC interior, prompting the CFIA cull order. Dozens of ostriches died after the outbreak, but hundreds survived. The farmers believe the herd is now immune to the disease and should not be killed.
We have a recovered flock here that we are shielding from the world of our research.
The case has become an international flashpoint in the management of avian flu, attracting the attention of prominent members of the Trump administration, including U.S. Secretary of Health Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as well as U.S. billionaire John Catsimatidis, both urging the Canadian government to save the birds.
They're iconic animals. They deserve to live if they have antibodies.
The CFIA says it implements disease control measures necessary to protect public health and minimize the economic impact on Canada's poultry industry. The farm owners say their fight is not over. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Victims' rights groups say they are disappointed the Crown will not appeal the acquittals of 5 former World Junior Hockey players. But legal experts say they're not surprised. Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, Alex Formanton, and Cal Foote were each charged with sexual assault. In July, a judge found them not guilty. Karen Pauls has reaction.
We expected the not guilty verdicts to come from this deeply flawed legal system. What we did not expect was to see rape myths, victim blaming and shaming.
The Crown's decision not to appeal wasn't unexpected, but Jesse Rogers says it's still disappointing. They're with Inova, one of Ontario's largest women's shelters.
The decision not to appeal reinforces the same silence and dismissal survivors have faced for generations.
The complainant, known as EM, testified she had consensual sex with Michael McLeod, but after he invited his teammates to his hotel room, she claimed she was forced to perform sex acts without her consent. In her not guilty rulings, Justice Maria Caracia said she did not find EM's testimony credible or reliable.
Justice Caracia appeal-proofed her judgment when she based it entirely on her assessment of the credibility of the complainant.
Daphne Gilbert is a University of Ottawa law professor.
A court of appeal cannot disturb credibility findings unless they are patently biased or unfair. So once she said she disbelieved the complainant, it was game over.
Still, Gilbert says the case will leave a profound legacy.
There are calls for alternative processes like restorative justice, but people want reform of the criminal justice system itself. Ultimately, EM will be seen as a catalyst for change.
The players remain suspended from all Hockey Canada sanctioned events. They are also currently not eligible to play in the NHL. Both decisions are under review. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And finally, thousands of visitors are in St. John's for the Canada Games. And if they're looking for becoming honorary Newfoundlanders, the Screech-In ceremony is celebrating 50 years. But as Peter Cowan tells us, some locals are kind of over the tradition.
Let's bring the Royal Order of Screeches to order.
At Christian's Pub in St. John's, dozens of tourists are packed in to become honorary Newfoundlanders. They're learning Newfoundland sayings, trying some local bologna, a shot of rum, and then there's the grossest part.
I need you all to pucker up and give this fish just a little kiss. Do not worry.
More than 100 tourists a day shell out $40 each to get screeched in. At this bar alone, they come away with a certificate affirming they're an honorary Newfoundlander. Brian Day owns the bar and delivers the ceremony dressed as Skipper Lukey.
I want to blow their mind. I want people to say that that was the best cultural experience that I've ever had in my entire life.
The Screech-In ceremony was first done 50 years ago by a bar in St. John's to bring in business on slow nights, and it's grown in popularity.
Today, I will be screeched in.
Helped by the likes of late celebrity chef Anthony Bourdain, who featured it on his traveling food show.
We'll rant and we'll roar like true Newfoundlanders.
But not all Newfoundlanders love the tradition. Sean McCann toured the world representing Newfoundland and the band Great Big Sea. He's been asked to perform the ceremony hundreds of times, but refuses.
You know, we don't need to rely on something that turns our culture into a cartoon. I saw it as, a gimmick to sell cheap booze to tourists, and that's all it ever has been to me.
But back at Christian's bar, Day says his ceremony is about giving visitors a sense of belonging. And as long as they keep coming, he'll have a fish behind the bar waiting to be kissed. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
And that is the latest national and international news from World Report. Remember, for news anytime, go to our website, cbcnews.ca. I'm John Northcott. This is CBC News.
That guy who was screeching people in, he screeched me in last year on George Street. So interesting to hear the perspectives, though, from Newfoundlanders, right? Thanks for being with us this morning in Manitoba. I'm Marcy Marcusa. You're on CBC's Information Radio, the morning show, 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and YouTube. Beautiful out there. It's going to be a windy day and lots of sunshine to start us off here in Winnipeg this morning. Still that rainfall warning to the north, your forecast in a moment. Also, we'll get into current conditions. This half hour on the show, it's Friday and we're feeling good, and you might be too, so why not have some giveaways? This half hour on the program, we're going to be talking about a couple of them. We want to send you to experience the Cultivation Festival in Winnipeg in a couple of separate events. One involves the arts and film and theater, and one involves food. So we've got something for everyone. Stay tuned. Could you win? Maybe. Also, big traffic news today. Louise Bridge has reopened. Corey Funk has been at the base of the bridge talking to commuters this morning, and he'll join us again this half hour. So we'll check back in with Corey. And this half hour, we are expecting he's going to be connecting with Councillor Ross Eady. Of course, when you go over one part of the bridge, it gets into his ward in Winnipeg. And so we'll find out more about what he has to say, not only about the Louise Bridge, but about the critical connections and what they mean to community and commuters. Obviously, Arlington Bridge remains closed. Let's go to Matt Humphrey right now, though. Matt is here with our news headlines and other stories. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Marcy. The father of a man who died while evacuated from his Northern First Nation due to wildfires says attempts to repatriate his son's remains to bring his son home to Marcel Colombe First Nation were delayed by red tape. He ended up having less than 3 hours to bury his son. The evacuation order was still on, so it was up to conservation officers to give the green light to bring his son home. That took 5 days, and then he had a very short window to bury him, robbing the grieving father of a sense of closure. And indeed, the Louise Bridge is open. It had been closed for nearly 3 months, and now the debate is raging about whether to repair the bridge and extend its lifespan for several more decades or to replace it entirely. And that long-term future plan is part of the by-election campaign in Elmwood East Kildonan, which is going on right now with different candidates proposing different ideas. We'll hear more about that at the bottom of the hour as well.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Back soon.
Of course, anytime you're going to replace a bridge, even to repair it, you're looking at huge costs. Corey's going to have Ross Eady on this half hour, longtime councillor for that area, to look at some of the future of the bridge as well. All right. Let's talk about the weather, and then we're going to do some ticket giveaways. So first of all, in the weather forecast for today, I mentioned Winnipeg, going to be very windy and sunny today, maybe some cloud moving in late this afternoon. Winds from the west, 40 to 60 and a high of 21. Over in Brandon, sunny this morning, high of 20. And then to the north, Flin Flon and in those areas up north, already experiencing rain. Those areas being Thompson is what I'm trying to get out here. Thompson has been under this rainfall warning that we've had in the north, between 50 and 70 millimeters of rain. So has Lynn Lake, Leaf, Gillam, Shamattawa, and Split Lake and Puck, as mentioned. So not Flin Flon, but that started yesterday, this system. It continues through today. And in Thompson today, when that rain moves through, you are still expecting there could be another system on the back of it that will affect you tomorrow. So you could see even more rain, but 10 to 20 more millimeters in Thompson expected. Right now, the current condition in Thompson is foggy and 11, Brandon's partly cloudy 11, and Winnipeg is mainly sunny and 14 degrees. In the traffic situation beyond Louise Bridge being open, we actually have had a pretty quiet morning on the morning commuter line. Please call us if you do need to update anything, and that number is 788-3093. 788-3093 is where you can reach us. Well, it is 8:14. And I said it twice, so you've been warned. We've got some fabulous Friday giveaways here. The Cultivation Festival has been going on all week, and CBC Manitoba is a proud sponsor. And so the event is, if you haven't been before, a Filipino cultural festival all across Manitoba. Most of the events are in Winnipeg, some of them, also a few of them in the southeast, in La Broquerie, for example. So there's food and culture and music and dance, education, art, lots of different things as part of the Cultivation Festival. But we have tickets to two things. So we have a pair of tickets for the Sala Film Festival. This is on Sunday from 4 to 9 o'clock, so it's an evening event. Jim Agapito from our team here at CBC is going to be hosting. Go just to meet Jim. He's awesome. But it is going to be held at the WAG, Kamoyuk, and they're celebrating media-based art, film, culture, all through the lens of Filipinx and Filipino artists. So you can check that out. We have a pair of tickets. We also have a pair of tickets to food. Really good food. So we have a pair of tickets to the Sama Sama 2 collaboration dinner. This one's tomorrow, 6 o'clock at Tito Boy Restaurant. So 2 tickets to give away for that. Both of those events are part of the Cultivation Festival, which continues all week long. So we are going to take emails on this for the tickets. If you want to win, if you want to go, please email us, radio893@cbc.ca. Put cultivation with a K in the subject line, radio893@cbc.ca, cultivation in the subject line. And if you have a preference for one or the other, you could put cultivation art or cultivation food, and we'll know what you're entering for. We'll make a random draw once we're off the air, and we'll promptly connect with you once we're finished the show this morning so you can make your plans for the weekend. Good luck. Well, as we've been sharing with you in the news and also on the show, it was supposed to be closed for just a couple of days in May for repairs, but here we are, August, and after extensive repairs, the Louise Bridge has just reopened this morning. It reconnects Point Douglas and Elmwood, those neighborhoods. CBC's Corey Funk has been there all morning, and right now he is out with Councillor Ross Eady, and they're making their way to the south part of the bridge. And that is because they're kind of walking through the neighborhood. So it's a bit of a walk and talk situation here. Corey, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yes, I'm here with Councillor Ross Eady, who's councillor for the Mynarski ward here. We're walking through part of his ward here that's just south of the Louise Bridge, because there's a lot of plans for this area, isn't there, Ross?
There's actually a planned development overlay coming. It's still being worked on, so there's changes. And then for the Louise Bridge, this is way down the road in the transit master plan for rapid transit. That's when they're talking about building a new bridge, but we can't even find the money for the current stuff we're working on for rapid transit. So therefore, we're looking at restoring the bridge to last 25 to 30 years.
And how do you feel about that decision as a councillor, restoring it as opposed to building something totally new?
Well, I'm okay with it. The Harry Lazarenko Bridge, the Redwood Bridge, it was redone and it's lasting a long time. I think it was done in 2003. We're coming up 25 years. It's still in good shape. The Louise Bridge with the $40 million investment, which I am a little skeptical about it being, it'll probably end up being more given that all the inflation and stuff that's been happening in the construction industry.
In terms of, the bridge itself, how important is it to this area?
Oh, well, I mean, you can take Disraeli, but for North Point Douglas, I have friends here and I've hung around here since back in the 70s. They do their shopping and everything on the other side in Elmwood. There's a lot of residents moving back and forth between Elmwood and North Point Douglas. And so that's really important for this neighborhood. So, and the cyclists don't like as much traffic, but the point is that the new cycling bridge, which would be adjacent to the new Louise, the city just doesn't have the money. We got other projects like trying to find the money to replace the Arlington Bridge. We need about $170 million there. So,
and speaking of the Arlington Bridge, I know that came as a surprise to a lot of people, but so did this temporary closure, right? They were supposed to be a couple of days. It's been a few months now. And a lot of people started, as soon as you start talking Louise Bridge, all the chatter online was, is this going to be the next Arlington Bridge? Is that a concern you have?
No, listen, okay, I don't know who started that. Somebody who doesn't know what's going on, you should ask a city councillor. I'm on the Public Works Committee. What you need to know is that capital investment to basically renew the Louise Bridge so it'll last 25 to 30 more years when the city ends up having enough money to do the rapid transit and a new bridge. So that $40 million was in the capital budget for the last 2 years. Councillor Schreier was not happy we're not building a new bridge, but he knows that we didn't have the money for building a new one, and renovation was very important because, again, the people of Elmwood and the people of North Point Douglas, they count on this bridge here.
And in terms of, where this area of town is going, so there's the Yonge and Rutherford building. I know there's plans to redevelop that. There's a potential, there's been a proposed national urban park right at the tip of Point Douglas. If those developments go ahead, there's still lots of things that have to happen to make that happen, obviously. In this place gets developed as it is, the Louise Bridge, it's a two-way, single lane both ways bridge. Is it enough, as it is to support that kind of development in this area?
Well, I'm not sure what they're going to do at Brown and Rutherford. The plans call for taking a sizable chunk of the Brown and Rutherford property in order to align the bridge the way they are. I know that some architects, landscaping engineers and stuff had talked to the city about changing the alignment, but the alignment still proposed still remains.
Okay. And finally here, in terms of your hopes for just the city's bridges in general, they're aging. We've heard Arlington Bridge, things like that. What do you think really needs to be done long term? You talked about tight situations in terms of finances. There's some wasps. There's lots of wasps around here. So you just got bit. Jeez. Okay. Well, that's some serious pain tolerance. Yeah. Okay. Well, so in terms of the bridges, what do you think needs to be done to actually make sure our bridges actually stay open for us in the years to come? They're all getting old.
Well, we got these huge projects. We have the North End sewage processing plant. There's the Kenniston widening and replacement of the St. James Bridge. There's the Cheapegos Trail. The thing is, from my perspective, the number one issue right now is building that new Arlington Bridge. Even if the rail yards do move and they don't need the track that's coming through the city, why don't we use that for the rapid transit LRT? It would come across an already existing bridge, and then if you have other bridges it can go under, and you could have transit stops along it, so you could run all the way from eastern side of Transcona all the way out to the airport.
Well, anything else you want to add just about the bridge itself?
Well, the Louise Bridge, glad they found other problems. They'll probably be able to adjust their budget for the Louise Bridge, and we might see that coming up. And then they're still working. Well, it's about the Louise Bridge, right? But the Arlington Bridge design, more detailed design, is still underway. But we do need to take care of our old bridges here, and they're number one. Because if they're failing, what is it? You say, oh, what's the priority, Southwest or Winnipeg? Or like what is the priority? Well, the priority has to be, let's fix our old infrastructure that we need, like the Louise Bridge. I'm good with continuing it on. Yeah, it's an old bridge. And actually, old bridges are, it's heritage kind of stuff, but also it's also functional. The Louise Bridge, east-west internal city trade. So there's a lot of goods that move back and forth from one side to the other side of the Red River. So yeah, it's like, that's why we're prioritizing. We need to fix it, and it is going to be done. It's not going to become an Arlington Bridge.
Well, Councillor Ross Eady, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. You're welcome. That's Councillor Ross Eady. He's the councillor for the Monarski ward. Back to you, Marcy.
Hey, Corey, duties is required. Live radio, nothing like it. I know that for a while you were walking around trying to find Councillor Eady in the neighborhood. You guys had a point of meet up, and it got shifted. And then did we all hear correctly there that a wasp just went into the councilor's shirt while he was being...
Yes, there was a number of wasps. One actually was also crawling on his glasses, and I didn't know whether I should be blowing on you there, Ross, while I was trying to blow them away while we were interviewing. So if I sounded a bit distracting, I was trying to protect my subject from about 4 or 5 wasps that were swarming us. So
okay, why don't you and the councillor go and go somewhere safe and have a coffee? I think you've done enough.
Yeah, sounds cool. We'll find shelter. Okay, thanks.
Live radio out live at the in the neighborhood at the base of the the Louise Bridge this morning. That was CBC's Corey Funk out with Ross Eady, who's the city councillor for the Monarski ward. The Louise Bridge, after being closed since May, has reopened this morning.
CBC Music Live. Head into the big venues, intimate concert halls, and small stages. Celebrate live music the way it was meant to be. Share in an unmistakable energy of being shoulder to shoulder with music fans and face to face with some of Canada's best musicians.
It's such an honor and a pleasure to play here.
CBC Music Live, brand new season. And catch past episodes right now on CBC Gem. Jarrett Martineau hosts Reclaimed.
In an hour, you could hear everything from powwow music to like a soft acoustic ballad to an electronic record to like a dub track, all in the same hour from an Indigenous artist from any part of the world. Eclecticism is an overused word, obviously, but I think the sheer diversity that gets represented on the show is something that's totally unique.
Reclaimed with Jarrett Martineau. Available now on CBC Listen.
Now I want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy. It is 8:25 a.m. on CBC. Thanks for being with us here. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Friday morning, nice sunshine in downtown Winnipeg, and you are on 89.3. We will be dipping into what is going to be happening on Radio Noon's Call-In before we get to the news at 8:30. But right now, let's get into something that's out today. Kathleen Edwards is out with a brand new record. It's called Billionaire. It's album number 6 for the roots musician from Ottawa. It's her first, though, since 2020. Here's a cut from the new one. This is When the Truth Comes Out.
These days, the truth is a fleeting thing. It depends who you talk to. Most days you hide away, and you shouldn't have to. And back then when you walked in the room, everyone turned and noticed. Yeah, back then everyone knew he was lucky to have you. Kings lose their crowns, and nobody wants to stick around. When the truth comes out, time will be on your side. Back when they sailed across the ocean blue, trying to find something perfect, magic, wild and cool. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. Hair in waves and legs for days in the summer. The way you light up the room, laughing, holding court like you do. Guess the queen wouldn't have it. Kings lose their crowns, and nobody wants to stick around. When the truth comes out, time will be on your side. Lock the doors and turn their backs, steal your cards and stack your decks while you were holding on to your ace of spades.
Kathleen Edwards and her tune called When the Truth Comes Out. Her new album is out today. It's called Billionaire, and that is a cut from the brand new one. Well, this afternoon, between 12:30 and 1, there's a call-in, as there is every day on Radio Noon, and today's topic is about this. If you're looking on YouTube, you can see my mug today. I actually have a Manitoba Harvest mug with me today. This is the 40th anniversary for Harvest Manitoba, and over the years, the organization, of course, has redistributed millions of pounds of food to thousands of Manitobans through their member agencies all across the province, all their different food bank partners. They've had hundreds of volunteers, and they've seen a lot of change. Remember, pre-pandemic, they were heading into even more of a training sphere for people, and then they went right back to being an essential service because people were desperate for food, and they lost volunteers. So they've seen a lot of change. Today in the call-in, what are your stories around Harvest Manitoba? What has the impact been on your life? Maybe you're a volunteer. Maybe you want to recognize a volunteer. Maybe something led you to Harvest. You can give a call to the call-in lines between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. It's a live conversation on Radio Noon. And if you want to leave a message about the 40th anniversary of Harvest and the impact on your life here in Manitoba, you can always call the listener line for Noon, which is 788-3797. Well, time for some thank yous here as we get ready to wrap the show and go to the news. Our news team, Matt Humphrey. You can catch us in Aaron Broman and Darren Bernhardt this morning. Thank you, everyone. Our associate producers who work on all of the shows, all on our unit in Current Affairs, Abby Adiemi, Corey Funk, Kelkadam Mulugeda, Sierra Sanders, Chide Akuma, Marshall Hodgins, Dylan Longhurst, Issa Kickson, Jenna Badasso, Sid Sundance Horshig, May McKillop, Carmen Ponto, Chloe Friesen, and Josh Tyfair. Our CA reporter, Jim Agapito, community reporter in unit, Channel Eva Dell, host Nadia Kidwai, Marjorie Dalhouse, Bruce Layden, and Faith Fundal. YouTube producers Azika Abdelatif and Brad Lillies. Nellie Gonzalez has been the show producer of Current Affairs Unit Overall, and along with Robin Sommerfeld this week. And Leif Larson is the senior producer of audio at CBC Manitoba. Long list of people. Get to know their names because they're the ones bringing you the work that comes out of my mouth. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your work. Your CBC Winnipeg News is next.
This is CBC News. At 8:30, we're at 12 degrees with mostly clear skies over downtown Winnipeg. We only have a slight chance of showers today. Good morning. I'm Matt Humphrey. The Louise Bridge is reopened nearly 3 months after it closed. The city closed the bridge on May 23rd for what was supposed to be a few days of scheduled maintenance. The 114-year-old structure is slated for rehabilitation work to extend its life for decades. Braden Mazurkowicz is a candidate in the Elmwood East Kildonan by-election. He says the city should just build a new one.
It sounds to me like the mayor's office is just trying to kick the can down the road another 20 years when the bridge needs to be replaced.
The rehabilitation work is estimated to cost around $40 million compared to the nearly $180 million for a new bridge. The fourth floor of the Millennium Library in downtown Winnipeg is closed to visitors while the city examines potential safety upgrades. Point Douglas City Councillor Vivian Santos tells CBC the move comes after an incident on Wednesday and after a 40-year-old died by suicide on August 6th. But Santos believes security staff intervened on Wednesday and there were no injuries. She says a person tried to go over a railing on the fourth floor, but it's not clear why.
As of right now, we did get confirmation from the CAO that he is working with the manager as well as HR on the closure. Right now, it's temporarily closed, the fourth floor, to the public. And they're working on figuring out what safety measures they can do.
Santos expects the floor to reopen next week. The city says staff are able to help visitors looking for materials or services on the fourth floor. A Manitoba father whose son died while they were evacuated says he had to fight to bring his body back home. Andrew Colombe's son, Featherstone, passed in early August at the age of 35. Wildfires forced them out of their homes in Marcel Colombe First Nation. The community was still under an evacuation, so conservation officials had to authorize the burial, but it took days to get approval. Then his family had to borrow a plane they could only use for about 3 hours, leaving little time to dig the grave and little time to mourn.
It hurts when things are not, when things are not done properly. It's more like a half-past job, and it sucks.
At least 2 other Manitobans have died while evacuated this summer. The province says it's been working with communities on a case-by-case basis. And the National Pharmacare program may soon become a luxury only some Canadians can receive, depending on where they live. The feds have reached deals with 4 provinces, including ours, Manitoba, but Ottawa isn't saying if it will negotiate with anyone else. As the CBC's Ian Fraze reports, early returns from the provinces with National Pharmacare are encouraging.
On the front line, when you tell someone that they don't have to pay anything, they're happy.
Aaron McKenzie says National Pharmacare has left some islanders surprised. Now their diabetes meds and prescription birth control are free, fully covered by the federal government. McKenzie is with the PEI Pharmacists Association.
I think a lot of pharmacy teams have the affected list of drugs hung up somewhere close to the computer and are becoming quite savvy with which ones those are.
So far, there's only drug coverage from the feds in PEI and Manitoba. It'll be expanded next March to BC and the Yukon, and after that, who knows? Prime Minister Mark Carney's government has only promised to protect existing pharmacare deals, leaving many to wonder when and if any other deals will be made. Elizabeth Thompson advocates for reproductive health in Ontario.
For us to not be signed on to a program like this, you're missing nearly a third of the population of Canada.
Ian Fraze, CBC News, Ottawa.
And finally, billionaire David Thompson wants to buy the Hudson's Bay Charter and donate it to the Archives of Manitoba. The charter was among items to be auctioned off by the Bay until offers emerged to buy it. The chair of the archives agrees with Thompson, says the charter doesn't belong in a museum, arguing the archives should be its forever home. Meanwhile, the Weston family wants to buy it and send it to the Canadian Museum of History in Gatineau in Quebec. Thompson, one of the richest people in the country, is a media magnate and chair of Thomson Reuters. The Weston family owns Loblaws. Now it appears the two families are set to battle over the historic document. And that's your CBC News from Winnipeg.
All right, thanks very much, Matt.
Thanks for the week, Mars.
Yeah, you too. That is Matt Humphrey in our news department. All right, a last quick look at our weather here and current conditions. It is raining in the Paw. It is also raining in Gillam, light drizzle and fog up in Churchill and across parts of northern Manitoba, Lynn Lake, Leaf, Thompson, Gillam, Shamattawa, as well as Split Lake and Puck. You are expecting, and Thompson, more rain today, and actually maybe more rain even tomorrow with a 60% chance. So it'll all dry out by Sunday, and it's looking like in Thompson, for example, Sunday is going to be clear, calm, 18 degrees, couple wet days ahead. Winnipeg, sunny already today. So is Brandon. It's going to be very windy, though, in Winnipeg and Brandon. Our high in Winnipeg, 21. Brandon's looking at 20. And Brandon also may see a chance of showers this afternoon. We also are looking ahead to the weekend and looking pretty good for Saturday and Sunday here in Winnipeg and Brandon, mostly clear. Thanks for joining us this morning. Take care, be well, and thanks for joining us all week here at Information Radio on CBC. Remember, we have a podcast called This is Manitoba. New episode drops every Friday. In case you missed some of the news in our province this week, the podcast focuses on one aspect of a developing story and shares the items and things that we've learned about that story through the week. So This is Manitoba. You can find anywhere you get your podcasts, and you can find us here again on Monday on Information Radio. Thanks once again to our live team and to you for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week. This is 89.3 FM, and The Current is next on CBC. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Take care.